Hello, folks. I have no idea how anything sounds, so I have the chat client up, so let me know. It looks like. Oh, I know why. All right, let's see if that wants to work now. There we go.
We've passed on all we know. 1,000 generations live in you now. But this is your fight.
All right, stop playing over and over again. Hey, can you hear me? Can I hear you? Wonderful. Um, let's try that. Hello. Now can you hear me? Now can you hear me? No. What the fuck? Hold on. Hold on. That's why we do this now. It's been a little while. Uh According to this, you should hear me. But I don't see anything on my end. Hold on. Let me try and Oh, it's great when you don't use this stuff for a while. Now? No. Can you hear me? Okay, you can hear me. Can you say something? Okay, hold on. One second. Say something? Hold on. No, all right. Hold on. Hold on. That doesn't make any sense at all because that's running Safari. Hold on. Now? Are you sure? Are you 100% certain that's not on your end? Because I bypassed all of my recording software and I have you going directly into my AirPod and I still don't hear anything. When you talk, do you see the little green lights next to your monitor? Yes or no? You don't see your little green lights? You do see your green lights, and I still don't hear you. Okay. Hold on. Try that. That's so weird because you're not even getting picked up. Like, I have the application being grabbed, and that's not even being picked up. Hold on. Let me double check something here. This is why we get on early. Let me see if I can hear this audio. Okay. So something is fucked up with Hangouts then, because I'm getting the audio from YouTube from Safari. So for some reason, I'm not getting Hangouts audio. It said something about a plugin that needed to be updated. Hold on, let me Google the Googles. Doo-ba-doo-ba-doo-ba-doo-ba-doo. I don't want to use Google Chrome. Motherfuckers. Yeah, like I even hit test and it works. But I just don't hear you. It's okay. I never shut up anyway, right? I don't need to hear you guys. I can just talk and you guys can listen. You're like the opposite of Mr. Wilson now. See, I went from not being able to see your face and hearing you, and now I can see your face and can't hear you. Hold on. Just when I thought everything was cool because I was able to get my iPad as a second screen for my iMac, which is awesome. Now I can't fucking hear anything. All right. I'm gonna do one more. I'm gonna try and reinstall this plugin. I'll give you one more link. Hold on. No, can you hear me? But I still can't hear you. You know what? Fuck it. Let's just try that. Now can I hear you? No. And you are 100% positive it's not on your end. Where'd my fucking vape go? Losing my mind. It's behind my microphone. Good place for it. Ooh, I got a message. Was that you? Where is Facebook? There's so many windows open. If I have to download, is there like a Hangouts app on the App Store? Would that be easier? I know there is for iOS. Is there for Mac OS? Negatory. Well, fuck you. You see 3 lights. Okay. That's fair. Why does everything hate me? Yeah, see, if I do loop back test. Yeah, the test works. So why don't I hear you? Is there like an extension that I have to enable or something? No, that's the emoji keyboard. Fuck it. I'm just gonna download Chrome and I hate everything. Yeah, accept and install. Go away. Thank you for downloading Chrome. It's because Google's a bitch. Seriously? Yes, open. No, no, go. Allow. Okay. Okay. Copy and close settings. Getty. Loop back. Test. Okay. Done. Holy shit!
Holy shit!
Yay!
All right, let me
No.
back out of the Facebook streaming thing.
Yeah. What's that?
Facebook streaming thing open because I was trying to see if anything was coming through that.
Oh. Yay! Why are you so much louder than me?
What?
Can you turn down a notch?
I don't have the ability to turn down.
Are you not? You can't on your mic?
Well, it's not that kind of mic.
No. Okay. Are you on a mixer?
No.
Oh.
At some point, I hope to be. I'm not there yet.
I downgraded. I went to a Yeti. It's so much easier.
Yeah, I have a Audio Technica that I've used for several years.
All right, let me see if I can. Can I from? No.
Probably from Hangout.
Probably. I don't. Do I have Hangouts controls?
You should. You set up the Hangout.
I don't use this shit. I don't see. I have mute. That's it. I have mute. I can mute you, which just brings us back to the original problem. Hold on. Maybe I can do it this way. Now say something.
Something. Hangouts used to have functionality that there were like add-ins for it, but since that anybody's used from them for the last 10 years, they don't give a shit anymore.
Yeah, basically. I mean, that's what that comes down to. Hold on. Say something again.
Something again.
All right. So I can turn. Okay. One more time.
One more time.
All right. That works.
This will probably be where I sit, so hopefully it all comes out in the wash.
Oh, I'm sure it'll be fine. You know what? It's the first episode in a long fucking time, so I'm not overly worried about it.
Yeah, I was going to say, why are we having technical problems? We're such prolific podcasters. We do this at least once a week, right? It's.
Oh, yeah. Used to.
Yeah.
But, yeah. Yeah. I mean, fuck it. Why not, right?
Yeah.
All right. Let me make sure. Let's go to studio mode. Nope. Camera seems good. Cool. All right. Just because shit's gonna happen, let's make sure this. Can you hear this?
Nothing after can you hear this?
So you don't hear that.
No.
OBS hears it, so that's good.
That's probably the most important thing then.
Let's do this.
Nothing on my end.
No?
Nope.
Oh, you know what? I know why.
Oh, good.
I know why. Because I am an idiot.
There were things that I didn't want to say to you, but I can hear the music through Twitch, so that's good.
Okay. But now, if I come up here, and I do this, and I do that... Now can you hear me?
I can hear... I heard the music playing for a second there.
Yeah, it's ending now. But you can hear me too?
Yes.
Okay.
Well,
and now
I can hear you. I can't hear anything else. But
right. It's stopped now. But I just wanted to verify you can hear me. And now let me know if you can hear the music.
Yes.
Look at that. I'm remembering how to podcast. What's awesome too is having the iPad as the second screen.
Yeah.
It's touchscreen. So awesome. If anybody is in chat, can you type something so I can make sure my chat client's working? All right, now that that's working, let's go and pull this up for the fucking 5th time. See, as I had all this ready until nothing wanted to work. Star Wars Episode 9 trailer. Can you hear the trailer?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay. Let me unfull screen you. Go back to the trailer. Let me full screen you. Let me go back and full screen Hangouts. Full screen the trailer. Let's bring it back to the beginning. Awesome. Everything wants to work. Since nobody wants to type anything, I will go do it myself. So, the program that I use to restream or to stream, right? When I stream to multiple platforms, I use it for my gaming too. It's called Restream.
Mm-hmm.
It allows me to hit everything. It's typically $20 a month. So it's not the cheapest of services, right?
Right.
But there's a thing called App. Fuck, I'm going to forget the name of it. App Sumo. Have you ever heard of it?
No.
Okay, so they are running a promotion. So it's $20 a month for the standard version of Restream. It's $50 a month for the premium version of Restream, which gives you a few more bells and whistles.
All right.
AppSumo is running a deal with them for this week only. You get a service that's in the middle. So you get a few more features than standard, but a few less features than premium. $50, lifetime membership. Yeah, incredible deal. So I bought that for the studio and I bought it for my game streaming. So $100, it's going to pay for itself in 2.5 months, and then Restream is free for the rest of my life.
Very cool.
But it's cool because now the podcasts are live on the Inked Geek Studios Facebook page, my personal Facebook page, plus Twitch, plus Mixer, plus YouTube, plus Periscope. And Restream also gives me a chat client that puts all of those chats into one window for me so I can see the chats from all the services. And also the chat client functions as a bot. So if you type something in Twitch, the bot will type it in all the other ones. So people watching from different services can all participate in the same chat room.
Huh.
It is an awesome little feature. So anyway, now we'll just hang out and wait at the very least for Brandon. Tony was a 50-50 anyway. But how are you, sir?
I'm surviving.
It's been a while. How's the new place? Well, it's not new anymore, right? That's how long it's been.
God damn, it really isn't. No, it's a lot of the problems of owning a house without actually owning the house.
You know, I am in the same boat. I know exactly how that is.
And the wife is just starting to work part-time, other than the more than full-time she's put into doing her artwork. And so we're going from being a single income family to a single and a half income family, which will hopefully make things a little bit more bearable.
Nice.
But she's got her gallery show is tonight. She got approached by a gallery in California, as odd as that is. And so they had her send in a bunch of her stuff, and they're doing a showing and hopefully selling some more stuff tonight. So that's really exciting.
Very cool. No, that's definitely awesome. It's nice when things progress forward.
That's what we'll lovingly call that. It's progression. But yeah, it's funny because we haven't done a podcast of terror in a couple of months.
All right,
So
chat programs
not
working.
spend any time up in the office here.
I was gonna say it's been a while. I'm still catching up on. So I have so many shows I've fallen behind on because of one show. I listened to a it's a radio show, but hey, hello, sir. You know
I think he's waiting for his headphones to pair.
Maybe. Well, me and Corey can hear each other, so.
There we go. So I heard connected.
Are we paired? Brandon.
I don't know. He might have to tell Hangouts to listen to that headset.
Possibly. Aren't you on your MacBook? Why aren't you using your AirPods? Dude, that's the best thing about switching to the Mac is no more fucking cans on my head.
What a fucking nightmare. Oh my god. I definitely should have taken the time to set this up beforehand.
Yeah. Why don't you...
My first time on a Mac, right? So like getting everything to work together. Oh, you need a permission. Oh wait, I have to restart because it's not going to load. Yeah, and I'm in my mother's basement, which is terrible. Does it echo?
No, you're good.
It's probably no worse than my mic, Brandon.
Yeah, it's probably no worse than mine.
No, since it's the same.
We're both in a basement now.
I was in a basement before, but we never podcasted, so.
I'm just curious, why no AirPods?
They're in the car and I didn't have time.
Ah, that's fair.
These are wireless, though. It's fine.
So, the dumb fuck who lives next door and who had the audacity to say, I haven't grown up yet the other day, is revving his engine in the street. So, if there's some background noise, that's why. He's like, you still haven't grown up. I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, you take a big truck and drive it through the mud. So don't tell me I haven't fucking grown up.
Oh, that guy. Okay. I thought we were talking about someone out there in a Subaru. I'm like, oh, that's fucking weird.
No.
Tommy, can you hear me? Well, that's fucked up. Is he in the monster truck or in the fucking shit show that he has right now?
Well, they're both a shit show, but yeah, the wannabe monster truck.
Yeah. Take it easy, bro.
Yeah, right. All right. I have confirmation that the stream sounds good. Chat client's working. Let me pull up my my talking points.
I'm getting just a little bit of echo.
Yeah, there's a slight echo.
How long until we start the show? Is Tony coming?
Test. There's a slight echo. Do we know where it's from? It just started.
It's probably Brandon, since he's the newest one. Brandon, talk and see if you echo.
Testicles.
Yeah, I think it's on Brandon's end. It's
Perfect.
either coming in from his. Is your mic
better? Worse?
Hello. It's there.
Not the same.
Huh.
It's not horrible. It's just.
No, it's not the worst thing in the world. It's just it's there. Hold on. Did you mute yourself? Nod. Yep. Yeah. Hello. Yeah, it's gone.
And now it's back.
Hello.
Yeah.
Guess is it your gain? Are your headphones too loud?
Hang on. Lots of buttons.
The gain should be on the mic. It's on the back.
Yeah, it is. That's not what I'm fucking with, dumb face.
Dumb face.
You like that?
What is that? Like the PG version?
I don't want to be mean.
Well, that's why I thought it was appropriate to have you on. One.
Better, worse. Better, worse. Worse, better.
Hello. I mean, it's barely there.
It's faint.
If this doesn't do it, I'm going to switch headphones.
Hello. Yeah, oh, yeah, no, it's there.
I'll be back.
Okay.
Well, is it there now? That's the real question.
Hello. Nope.
No.
It's the headphones.
No? Headphones.
Your headphones talk to you? The fuck? Oh, shit. So why haven't you... Oh, so what I was saying before Brand joined in. Yeah, so there's a radio show called Free Beer and Hot Wings.
Mm-hmm.
And they are on in the morning, but I don't listen to them in the morning. I listen to them in podcast form, and it's like a 4.5 hour show.
Yeah, I think I've heard you talk about them before.
Yeah, so trying to be caught up to them has made me fall behind on everything else. I unsubbed from all the Frog Pants shows. Just because getting kicked out of the Tadpool really kind of ruined the whole thing for me. So
I can understand that.
Yeah,
But
it sucked.
it wasn't actually Frog Pants that kicked you out, though?
No, it was fuckhead James Bartholomew.
I don't know who any of these people are, but I mean...
I made a joke that upset his girlfriend, so he was a little bitch. And it was like 2 years after I made the joke. We're 2 years removed from the joke, and he kicked me out. What a cuck. But anyway, yeah, so no, which sucks, because, you know, like, I mean, Scott, whatever, but, like, Ibbot, you know, Ibbot's still a really cool guy, but, yeah, it is what it is. So you guys getting it back soon?
It's up to Matt. He's got all the stuff going on with his band and everything, and he was suffering burnout, so we took a hiatus.
Yeah, I can get that. Oh, and Amy got her admin status taken away for calling him out on it. So, yeah, I caused a whole fucking thing.
It feels like Amy should be able to pull rank at this moment in time.
You would think so.
But I understand why she wouldn't
want to or even
try.
Yeah, no, and not to sell myself short, but I'm not worth doing it for. And I don't mean me as a person. I mean me because, like, I was very trolly there, so it's not like...
You?
I mean, anyone that...
You mean you don't live under a bridge? No, but I believe it wasn't just you that was getting shit in there.
No,
I like there was a
Dice Tomato got fucked out too. But it's whatever, you know, and it's I don't know. I need to stop being less trolly. I talked to Amy about that earlier. Like, I got to stop being less, because it's just. I even mentioned it to Brandon. It pushes people away, and, you know, trying to develop a stream community, wanting to get the podcast back, and try and develop a social media community and just a following. Like, I can't be a bitter fuck to everybody.
Well, it depends on what kind of community you want.
What kind of bitter fuck do you want to be?
Yeah, exactly.
You're gonna be a sweet fuck, Nate?
It can be. Depends on how much alcohol I have in me.
Hey, Echo, better, worse?
No Echo.
No
Echo.
It was my cheap Bluetooth headphones.
Well, that's no good.
I basically just used them to walk around the neighborhood. It's fine.
You still didn't make the effort to go grab the AirPods.
No.
Now you just see, there you go. Get a version 2, and then keep your version 1s. Keep your version 1s by the MacBook. Carry the version 2s with you.
I love how Nate volunteers you to spend your own money.
We both do that to each other.
Buy it for me. I'm just, you know, my money's gone before I spend it because I'm friends with you.
I mean, it works one and the same.
I have forced you into a purchase or two, and usually they're bigger.
Yeah, like $1,200 bikes.
But that's just like
$30,000 car
going off. That's
yeah,
not a big deal with
$30,000 car. Yeah,
Nate's already looking to spend money.
Hey, let's get Civics. All right, let's get Civics. Oh, by the way, I bought the second most expensive one they have. Well, I mean, I can't get the cheap one at that point. I've got to get the second most expensive one too.
So not for nothing, I really like the Google Hangout setup better than the overlay. It's very reminiscent of Pot. Oh, where is Else Nerds? Is that gone?
Else Nerds may be coming back soon. Beatmaster keeps trying to get us to meet up and talk about what the next iteration of the show is going to be. We had a meeting about it a few months ago, and Gregor definitely was taking some time off over the last week, and we were talking about getting back together again. And he's like, "Yeah, but WWE." It's like, okay, Gregor, you do your thing.
That's too bad. That's been a hole in my life.
Dude,
where's Tony? Did anybody answer that?
He hasn't responded. Dude, I cannot stress how awesome this is to have the iPad as the second screen. And the touchscreen. And the touchscreen works.
Does it really?
Yeah, nice. And I can use it, not that my drawing ever went anywhere, but like I can pull up a drawing program on my Mac and mirror the monitor and use the Apple Pencil and use the iPad as a drawing tablet for the Mac.
Yeah, I was checking out that new pencil of yours yesterday. Lightning, wireless charging. Wireless charging,
yeah, it magnetizes to the iPad.
And it's actually like pencil shaped and sized more or less, which is so much nicer than the old one.
The old one was too, but this one's definitely a little bit more refined.
Why don't you just agree with me? Why do you always have to have a caveat, man? Just say yeah. I always gotta correct. Every time.
That's what I do.
Oh my God, see, you agreed with me. How hard was that?
Agree to disagree.
Oh, you can't. You dumb face.
But Brandon, it's great. Shit. He didn't actually try to sell you up on the newer iPad with the new iPad Pencil.
No, I already did that.
Oh, goddamn.
I've had it for a few months.
Yeah.
Came out in November, Corey. Come on. Give me some credit.
No, not for nothing about that. I did have to fight off that whole keeping up with the Joneses thing, you know? Do I want it? Yeah. Do I need it?
Well, really, it was the USB-C that got me. It was the USB-C that got me to go with it because the iPhone 11 is going to be USB-C as well, and I didn't want to have to carry around multiple chargers.
Yeah, I agree with you. And about that, so I was at Walmart a minute ago, and do you know how hard it is to find not micro USB, just mini USB that the Yeti takes?
Mm-hmm. Oh,
does
like
your Yeti take
the
a mini
fat
USB?
One? Yeah, all the Yetis do. They have.
Holy shit!
Yeah.
Good luck finding a second one, unless Best Buy has it.
Even
so
the Yeti.
I know I can order it online, but I meant in a pinch, you know.
Even the Yeti Nano, I think it is the new smaller version of the Yeti. Even that's the fat you like. Why they haven't gone to USB-C, I don't know.
It's crazy. USB-C, man, all the way. All the time.
Are you using the FaceTime camera?
Yeah, I guess
Cool.
so.
No,
I'm using the laptop camera.
Yeah, I mean, but it's a MacBook, so it's the FaceTime camera.
Okay.
But no, it's just I'm surprised at the quality of it.
It's the first time I've used it. I wondered how it was going to be. I see a lot of like live streams from YouTubers I watch, and they do it, and the audio from the laptop itself, sans a mic, and the camera are not that great.
No. All right, let's switch over the splash screen. And make it official. In 3, 2. Been so long, I don't remember what I'm supposed to say. All right. 3, 2, 1.
The following radio program you're about to listen to is provided to you, the listener, by Inked Geek Studios. Get this and other great shows at inkedgeekstudios.com.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the all-new, the return, the whatever you want to call it, of Mind of a Geek. I am your host, Nate, and I am joined, as always, with those asterisks we love so much. Brandon, how are you, sir?
Heyo, good to be back. Nice to see you, even though I just did. It really never stopped for us. You just didn't see it.
Yeah,
We kept on fucking way into the night. The
and
proverbial
things,
night.
and things obviously haven't changed too much.
While we were lost in the podcast darkness, we were still deep inside of each other.
Oh my goodness.
Yes,
Anyway,
I like it.
so also a big hello and a big shout out. We are now using Restream.io to broadcast our podcast to multiple locations. So hello to Twitch, Mixer, YouTube, Facebook, and Periscope. To anyone that is there, hello, welcome. If you are a longtime fan, thanks for coming back. If you are a new fan, then, welcome and hope you enjoy it. For those that are familiar with Mind of a Geek, we are changing things up a little bit. We are still going to have guests as we do tonight. We'll get to that in a second. But it's going to be a little bit more relaxed, a little bit more casual, a little bit more fun. And just kind of let's hang out and get to know people and talk about what's going on and explore all of our various forms of geekdom. And tonight,
for all of our various holes, we're gonna
and
lose
tonight,
the show up.
Tonight we have a huge form of geekdom, in that of Star Wars Episode 9's teaser trailer that got unveiled at the Star Wars Experience yesterday. And joining us for our returning episode in what has to be the most appropriate guest for the situation, Corey from Corey, because he's not doing anything else right now. Corey, old friend, it is good to have you on. Thanks for taking the time to come and hang out with us tonight.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, my Twitter says I'm on hiatus, which is funny because that's pretty much how I've treated Twitter for the last 10 years that I've been on it. I'm a man without a podcast. Welcome.
You are homeless. Well, yeah. Again, thanks for coming on, man. I didn't mean to hit you with such short notice. Me and Brand just threw the idea together. The trailer dropped, and we're like, "Fuck it, we need to do a podcast."
Yeah, I kind of figured that's what it was. Is like immediately after the trailer, I get a notice of, "Hey, we're gonna do Mind of a Geek tonight." It's like, yeah, I can see that. So if you guys only do this every time Disney cashes in on the Star Wars ticket, you're gonna be doing a lot more shows.
Not according to what they said, because Bob Iger came out and after the trailer unveil.
Post episode 9
post episode 9 hiatus, yeah, but no, we're gonna
think that that's a red herring?
No, because
let's get him begging for it.
Because right after that came the announcement that Iger is stepping down as CEO in 2021.
Right, so plans will change.
Yeah, I think Kathleen Kennedy's gonna take it over.
You think so?
Yeah, I think that's why there's going to be that temporary hiatus, is because there's going to be a massive changing of the guard on several fronts. So anyway,
but don't you think that there's, with the amount of activity we're seeing of shows that are being announced, mostly from the Marvel camp so far, but even some Star Wars stuff, shows announced for the Disney Plus, that don't you think that maybe that's going to be not so much we're going to put these things out in the theaters as we are going to still have a ton of Star Wars content that's just straight to our streaming services?
Well, right, because we've got The Mandalorian, right? And then we've got the announcement that there's a new season of Clone Wars coming. So there's at least that.
Yeah, that Clone Wars is going to be that final season redone, finished, that they didn't do.
And then even in the movie element, we know that the Game of Thrones people are working on a trilogy. We know that Rian Johnson's working on a trilogy.
Of course, we're all salivating for Solo 2. More Solo.
Oh, yeah. That's just what I want in my life.
I don't know. I liked Solo more than Rogue One. I know.
I walked out on Solo. I sat through it the first time. Tried to go again to see if I could hate fuck it a little more. Had to walk out.
Really? I don't know. I enjoyed it. I didn't hate it.
I think there was a lot I liked about the movie, taking away the connections to it being Han Solo. That was the hardest part, is sitting there and trying to, in my head, connect this to the Han Solo that I've known and loved for 40 years.
Yeah.
Skipping over that, it's an okay film. It's fun. I think there's a lot of good character stuff there. I just dream of a day when Don Glover gets to just play Lando all the time. But then I would hate to not have him do all the other things that he does that are just Donald Glover or whatever. But yeah, I didn't despise the movie. I just felt like it was such a misfire in the things that were most important. But I always thought it was going to be that because you're doing Han Solo without Han Solo.
I mean, that's more than fair. I mean, Harrison Ford gave his blessing and he said that
Right.
he enjoyed the movie, but
Right.
is he going to say that he doesn't? You know what I mean? So, and those, I think I never had that deep personal connection to the OG trilogy that so many other Star Wars fans have.
Everybody else.
I mean, I saw Phantom Menace in the theater in '99. You know, my mom took me to go see it. It was the same year that Matrix dropped, so it was a big year for movies. And I remember really enjoying it and then falling into that hype. But I never saw the original trilogy from front to back until after seeing the prequels. It just wasn't part of. I mean, I didn't have a sheltered childhood, but I didn't have that exposure. Same way
You think
how
that
it
puts
was.
you in the like 1% of Star Wars fans?
It could. It very well could.
I
but
mean, up to a certain year at least. But like
right,
for me,
right.
in my childhood and everybody else's childhood that I knew, given our parents, Star Wars was a rite of passage. Like for me, you got Labyrinth, you got Star Wars, Dark Crystal.
Yeah, see, my parents weren't cool, right? So for me, it's almost a perfect full circle. A lot of that came from you and being friends with you and then having exposure to all those things. Like you were the first person
I know, but do we really want to get into that right now?
well, no, I'm just saying
Totally different issue.
well, no, well, right. But like, so
you are the trumped up, more shiny version of me.
well,
You're like what you are is like the hetero version of a first girlfriend, right? You have that first girlfriend that you do everything with, and like you both do everything the way that you each like it because you're each other's firsts. I have molded you and manipulated you into this gaudy, beautiful version of me that I could never be. Look at you, shiny. You're a god, only not a ginger. It's too bad.
I have never in my life had a girlfriend that I was being able to manipulate into being what I wanted her to be.
But I said hetero version. I didn't say anything about that being exactly the same with a girlfriend.
He said a version of it.
That's
I'm like,
fair.
I don't know what that.
All right. So before we get too off track, because I suspect this episode is already going to be long.
Before we go into Solo, before we leave Solo, one of the things that irritated me about that movie was, I don't know what it was about that movie, but for all the other Star Wars movies, I can look past some of the more hokey writing. But it was so glaringly apparent in that movie for me, and the need for anytime there's anything like a chase scene, you have what is the equivalent of the Millennium Falcon flying vertically through a small space, like he did with the speeder. Granted, he got stuck. That was a nice touch, but I don't.
Yeah,
need
but
it.
isn't that one of
it every time with the
right?
Falcon.
But isn't that one of those
need it.
things like I've got a bad feeling about this, or like that's just one of those things that you expect in every movie now?
But isn't that the problem?
Is that a
I wanna be
problem?
a little surprised.
So a liking thing is, I don't remember who it was who talked about this. It might have been Mark Waid, but somebody, or maybe it was Joss Whedon. Somebody had mentioned the fact that Temple of Doom comes after Raiders of the Lost Ark. Now, as a kid, that never registered with me. Temple of Doom was the next movie I saw after seeing Raiders, a couple years down the line. And so I never thought about the fact, but there's the scene where Indy grabs for the gun to shoot the guy and doesn't have the gun. And it plays off the expectations that the last time he just shot the guy who was sitting there making all those wicked moves in front of him. The problem with prequels is that it's always trying to window dress the things that you know and love from the original film in a context that doesn't make any sense if you're seeing it beforehand. So to constantly have to go back to the well of the same lines and the same jokes and everything, but you don't get the context of the first time that they said it or did it, because why would it make sense? It's years and years before or a different character. It loses the magic of it. And it's just window dressing to window dress to make people remember, oh, you're going to like this thing. It's like when they shoved Boba Fett into episode 4 in the remix version and did a whole conversation 2 times about Jabba and Han dropping the cargo and everything off. It's like, we don't fucking need that. we're better than that. We understand this movie by this point. And the problem, Nate, to your point of seeing the prequels first, is you got a completely different experience than most people. That's not a wrong experience. It's just that's the way that it was for you. For most of us, we watch the prequel films and it doesn't make sense to the context of the movies as we were raised, having known them in some cases for decades. So that's why a lot of us were pissed off. That's why a lot of us didn't love them like you did. But I have friends who have kids who saw the prequels first, who grew up with those things. They were their movies, and that 100% works for them, and they love them.
Right,
and
like
I don't want to
things
take it away from them. Although I am the guy who is infamous for saying on a science fiction fan cast that Disney has the opportunity to completely wipe the sequels out and redo them completely.
They could, but at the same time, the prequels have a place in my heart. Do I love them like the OG trilogy? No, but do I appreciate them for everything that they gave me in terms of the expanded universe? Oh yeah, all of the shows that came after Clone Wars, Rebels, all that shit, man. All the extra planets you get, all the other Jedi. There's so much that come out of the prequels that you didn't have before, and I love all of that for what it is.
right.
Yes, I like
See,
the
and
story of Skywalker, but do I love seeing the Jedi Temple on Coruscant? Fuck yes. I will take that shit all day.
See, and there are things that piss people off about the prequels that I don't get, right? Like a lot of the times, and it's a personality flaw of mine, where I will side with the unpopular opinion just to be that guy.
You
right?
are the devil's advocate. My mother actually bitched about Jar Jar today, but she called him Jab Jab. It's hilarious.
But anyway, so see, and that's the thing, right? Like, I don't have that problem with Jar Jar. Like, that everybody has. Like, I don't, like, to me, Jar Jar is less annoying than C-3PO, which sucks because Anthony Daniels is incredible. And he's an incredibly sweet guy and an incredibly nice guy. And seeing him on stage at the experience yesterday, like, he's so humble and just so happy to be there. And, like, unlike Harrison Ford, who was completely fed up and only agreed to do episode 7 if they killed Solo and things like that. And like, he is just totally happy with being there and loves the fans and everything else. So it almost pains me to not like that character. But one of the things I did today in preparation for tonight's episode was while I was at work, I watched episodes 7 and 8 again to kind of refresh everything, to talk about 9. And
I watched episode 8 last night.
And when you go to talk, or when Solo goes to talk to Leia, and like, this was, even for me, who again, the OG trilogy came afterwards, like, Han talking to Leia is, after 30 years, is still a huge fucking moment that I can appreciate. And right when they're about to talk, 3PO bumps in and goes, "Oh, you may not recognize me because my arm's red." Shut up, you stupid cunt.
But he's the OG cockblocker, man.
Well,
and that goes back to Empire.
Well, that's fair, right? And fine. And maybe I don't get that, right? Like, maybe I don't have that, but like,
he's a big gold anti-dildo, man.
Right. But like, to me, like, I don't know. He may not be more or less annoying, but he's no more annoying than Jar Jar, or no less annoying than Jar Jar. Like,
I feel like there's a couple of reasons why Jar Jar is taken into more hatred. One, because it kind of self-prophesized how bad he was, that he was almost absent completely from the next 2 films. 2, there were a lot of people who felt like he was a racial caricature. Fair or not, it was there. It seen as that way.
Let us remember Watto as well.
Yep.
And like, everybody in the Trade Federation, what were they supposed to be? Jewish?
No, Watto was supposed to be Jewish.
What were the Trade Federation? Asian? Refresh my memory on the racial stereotype.
I mean, like, just based off their accent alone, they were a little, like, I don't know. There was definitely a stereotype there, though. I can't pinpoint it, though, and I don't want to claim a wrong one.
I don't know. In this world of outrage, we should move along.
But I could see that,
part
right?
3 is that Jar Jar was only in what's considered by many to be the worst movie,
with the best ending.
Right, and see, 3PO's been in the best films.
Well, he's going to be in all 9, yeah.
And for most of us, 3PO was there in our childhood, and it's just, that's the way it is. Like, essentially, Star Wars is about the droids. I mean, it's especially the last 6 movies before the newest ones, it's from their perspective most of the time.
Right.
It's happening around them or to them. So
it was a buddy
Right.
comedy in a way. It was
yeah,
like your Bing Crosby and Bob. Oh God, I can't think of his name now. The guy. Oh Jesus Christ. Oh, let's just go with Stan and Ollie. Let's go with Abbott and Costello. It was that buddy pairing road trip movie that they
Bob
were doing.
Newhart.
I like Penn and Teller. I think it's a Penn and
Bob
Teller
Newhart, Bob Hope.
parallel.
It certainly Penn and Teller picked up on it.
Wait, now I'm wondering what Bob you were thinking of. Bob
Yeah.
Hope?
No,
Bob Newhart?
no, Bob.
All I
Hope.
can think of is Bob Iger.
Okay, so hold on. Wait, hold on a second. So you forgot Bob Hope's last name while talking about Star Wars?
Yeah,
of
course.
How do you forget Hope while talking about Star Wars?
Because I
has
live
none.
in this nation in this day.
Because there is no hope. All right. Anyway, we aren't here to talk about that yet. We can certainly make this a long conversation, which would be fun. But we are here to talk about episode 9. So you guys will be able to hear it, as you guys being you and Brandon. Everybody on the stream will be able to see it. It's going to cover your guys' videos for the time being. But for those that have not seen the episode 9 trailer, let's play it.
Hey, can you fill like 15 seconds so I can get another beer before you play it so I can watch it?
Can I fill 15 seconds?
There it is. Start now.
Yeah, you might as well put in a fake ad while we're waiting because no advertiser is going to be able to play this thing. We're playing copyrighted content like that.
You can play trailers.
It's getting touchy,
Whatever.
especially in the EU.
The expanded universe? I thought Disney wiped that out.
Yeah, we should talk about that at some point too.
What, that Disney removed all the garbage?
Mm.
All right. Anyway,
That troll opinion in again.
episode 9 trailer. Here we go. Okay, for some reason the trailer audio is not coming through. So
That's funny. I could hear it.
you could hear it, but OBS couldn't hear it for some reason. What is going on?
What do you have? Like, do you need to change your output?
No, I'm just gonna do it this way because everything hates me. Say
I
something.
don't hate you, Nate.
Somebody?
What?
Did
What
I just
happened?
fuck everything up?
Maybe. I hear you.
God damn it. No, now I can hear it. It's so weird though because everything is passing through Chrome. So
You
I
can
don't
hear
know.
us still, though, right?
Yeah, I can hear now. I don't
I
know.
can hear that.
I don't fucking know. Oh, you know what? I might have had that open on Safari and not Chrome. Whatever. I don't care. So, go watch the trailer. So one of the first things I noticed in the trailer was that Rey's costume has again progressed.
Is it gray?
And it's white now. It's
Oh.
all white, whereas it was gray in episode 8.
That's very telling.
So episode 8, she kind of skirted a little bit, like we thought she was gonna turn, maybe. So now it's
What
very
we saw
clear.
at the after Yoda destroyed that Jedi temple or the remnants of it, and the books were thought to be there, and we found that Rey had taken them. I really hope that they cover her studies just a little bit to see how she's progressed and all of that, and not just give us this super-powered pre-Jedi without any backstory.
Right. Now she covered that. She being Daisy Ridley covered that briefly in the panel because there's a lot there's a lot that people have asked in Facebook comments and Twitter comments and everything else like that were answered in the panel, right? So I find it interesting that people didn't pay attention. Like, at the end of the trailer, which we'll jump to for a second, when that laugh happens, and so many people and so many comments are like, oh my God, is that the Emperor? Is that the Emperor? But Ian was standing on stage after the trailer ended. Like, it's clearly the Emperor. And then he says, like, in his Emperor voice, he goes, roll it again, and then does a mic drop, and it's awesome. So, like, I don't know. There's a lot of questions that were answered on stage that weren't answered in. So, one of the things that she addressed was that some time has passed between episode 8 and episode 9.
Right. And they, like, end up on some Tatooine type planet.
Right. Which may or may not be Tatooine.
Would that not be amazing? Where was the Death Star when it got blown up? That's the question.
Yavin 4 or Endor, depending on which Death Star we're talking about, which I also put in my notes.
Final Death Star, so Endor, or one of its moons.
And I think that's why we're hearing from Palpatine. But anyway, we are jumping ahead. So thoughts on the costume being white? Do we just kind of agree that maybe it's the sign that she's now fully pure and has embraced being a Jedi?
That would be, if we're going to really dig into the symbolism of it, yeah. What else could it be?
Or those caretakers from the Jedi place that Luke was hanging out at finally did the laundry.
Jeddah has been destroyed, though. Who else are left? Those weird otter nun things?
Porgs.
Yeah.
Porgs have done laundry.
I would imagine that Luke would have had a lot of conversations, right? On that place by himself. Damn.
I think I might have gotten this, so bear with me one more time for the trailer.
Will I see it this time?
No, but the audio is working.
We've passed on all we know. 1,000 generations live in you now. But this is your fight. Be with you. No one's ever really gone.
All right, so there we go. That worked out great too because I had to run to that.
So when I heard Lando laugh, I thought it was Corey.
We're similar.
Yeah, I know. You fuck robots and you're debonair.
And I will betray you right before dinner.
Oh.
That way I get all the King's Hawaiian rolls.
Oh.
So we talked about the white costume, obviously. So the other thing that I wanted to bring up was the Luke voiceover were quotes from the past, right? So he quoted Yoda, he quoted Obi-Wan from episode 4. So it really feels like they're trying, obviously, to tie everything together. They're bringing it all
no
back.
one's ever really gone in
which is also
episode 8 as well.
Right. So he says that in 8, and then the first line he says is a Yoda quote. I didn't type the quote. I forget it. And then the thousands of years of generations or whatever. That's an Obi-Wan quote from episode 4. So they're obviously trying to, throw all these little Easter eggs in and kind of give everybody from all the different generations like something to look forward to. So I like that they kind of did that. To go back a little bit to what you were talking about with the books, we do notice that she has Luke/Anakin's sabers, so it was fixed. So somebody fixed it. So perhaps she fixed it with knowledge she got from reading the books.
Okay, I hadn't noticed that. So despite it being torn in half, it is his saber.
Yeah, that's
the Graflex like classic saber.
That is Anakin's/Luke's saber. Yeah.
Nice. I hadn't noticed. I wondered if she had built a new or not.
Which adds to my theory. We'll get to theories afterwards. The flying of the ship. We know it's Kylo's interceptor, but we only see gloves. Do we think it's Kylo flying the ship? Because that's obviously the assumption. Why didn't they show us him?
Raise a good question.
Well, they don't show Kylo in the helmet in this, correct?
There's a very distinct scene right after that one of him repairing the helmet.
Right, repairing it, but they didn't show him in it. And so that's the question is it might tell when that scene happens if he's wearing the helmet or not.
That's fair. But it's fun to poke that maybe it's not him.
Yeah, would they show us that scene? I mean, if it's Kylo in that TIE fighter, a scene like that, don't you think that would be at least somewhere near the climax of the movie?
So, yes and no. I agree with you, but the only reason I would hedge no is because if they're going to give away such an amazing looking scene like that, especially where she backflips up onto the interceptor,
right? I
can't imagine that is anywhere near the climax.
If not, I would say then it is a redemption story for Kylo, hence the rise of Skywalker.
Okay.
Since he's half Skywalker, so you have that scene somewhere near the middle, and then if he doesn't die a la Vader at his redemption point, he comes back to destroy a greater evil. The Emperor. But I don't see the Emperor actually being alive. I see him as some sort of Force ghost.
I think he's going to be a Force ghost, which we will get to.
Given Yoda in the last movie, we know that they can manipulate the physical world. So who knows?
Right. So, and my last note for that particular part of the scene was about it being Tatooine, because the mountain ridges are very similar to that we saw in episode 4. And then obviously the Tatooine scenes in the prequels. So, I mean, it's a desert planet. There's a bunch of them, right? So it could be any of them. But with them bringing everything else back, Palpatine, the quotes, the repaired saber, Lando, and now, I mean, there's the rumors of Hayden Christensen again being on the set, so we might get Anakin. It would almost be poetic for it to be Tatooine.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that is what it should be.
What if they end on Endor and there's Ewoks? And then you have Anakin, you have Luke, you have Obi-Wan.
You want to end episode 9 with an Ewok party like episode 6?
No, I don't want that. But when you see it, all these Force ghosts and teddy bears everywhere, it'd be crazy.
I'll say yes if we get the Ewok original theme again, as opposed to the tacked on crap music that they did in the remix.
Yeah,
we'll just have them all. We'll have the Ewoks partying with the Gungans, partying with the Porgs.
Yeah, why not? All the characters that were like, eh. So, Corey, you're referring to like special edition when they added on scenes of like statues being torn down in Coruscant and all that shit.
Yeah, I didn't mind the scenes. I just didn't see the need to change the music. I also hated the redone dance scene in Jabba's ship and everything. I
I don't.
That
need
looked very
in
Men
my
in
life.
Black to me. Like, watch that scene now, and it looks like Men in Black 2.
Yeah, I don't need that in my life. Hey, quick aside, in terms of your room, Corey, that thing? What is that? Is that the helmet from that monster in Silent Hill? What is that?
This?
Yeah, that right there.
That is a stalagmite from Creepy Coffee Movie Time, which was the local horror movie show that was played on Saturday nights in San Francisco.
Cool.
So the guys that ran that show, when the show was going off the air, I went to the last get together for it, and I won this.
Nice.
So it's a part of horror movie cinema history for me.
That is cool because I totally thought it was like Pyramid Head's helmet.
Yeah, no, that would have been fun too.
It's a crazy sex toy.
Why not both?
So the next thing that we see in the trailer, Lando's back. So cool, right? I mean, again, as we talked about prior to bringing up episode 9 discussion, like, you guys are way more like OG trilogy than me. How do you guys feel about seeing Billy D back on the screen for Star Wars one last time?
I like it. I was into it. It gave me a little thrill.
It still bothers me that he wasn't either of the alleged code breakers in episode 8.
Yeah, but
it felt like the entire thing of going to find this person who goes unnamed and then is the biggest fucking nothing burger of that movie. It's not Lando, really pisses me the fuck off.
I wonder if they just couldn't get him.
Wait, Nate. I've really tried to stay away from my hatred of The Last Jedi.
Let's finish 9 first.
Just fucking Corey, preach, bitch. I love it.
I really enjoyed TLJ.
Movie.
I really enjoyed it, and I still don't like the casino scene. So I'm right there with you guys. It is a pointless scene.
It's fucking forgettable.
And
I'm Lando. What are you doing?
I do not hate episode 8, but there's a lot of episode 8 that it seems like was
an affront to
poorly
the mythos
chosen
of Star Wars. It was
poorly chosen in the mentality of my mind. What I would have done with it. There are things that I love about episode 8, but it does a lot like The Force Awakens, which is just, it does so many parallels to the original trilogy, and it takes parts of 5 and 6. The way that Force Awakens took parts of 4 and 5. But I really question, the whole casino thing was such a hot mess.
Do you think they're going to do that with 9? Because there are already people drawing parallel with just the teaser trailer, drawing parallels to Return of the Jedi.
Oh, it's so Jedi, but it's back in the hands of JJ, and Rian Johnson is gone. I'm fine with it. But even if I get a Force Awakens out of it, I'm fine with it.
JJ is also very much beholden to the idea. JJ doesn't tie things up very well in Classic History 1. And 2, he is very much I like the imagery of that original thing, so I'm going to bring that imagery back. Force Awakens felt so beholden to the original trilogy, which is not terrible, but also not hugely exciting. What I want from 9 is for 9 to be something that we haven't gotten yet, but I feel like we're not going to get that until we get out of this whole Skywalker storyline.
And I agree
with
you.
I'm at with this trilogy now is I don't expect them to be able to give me something new and exciting without me feeling like they fucked it up. So the best I can expect is for them to feed my nostalgia and fandom by giving me what Force Awakens was, and I'm totally fine with that. So if this movie is a rehash of Jedi, which I expect it to be, it will still be better than the Last Jedi. Because whatever they did to say fuck you to whatever JJ did before that and just try to give you a rope-a-dope of a movie, no. What Force Awakens did for me was give me the feeling of the original trilogy. The prequels, though I love them, didn't do that. So I'm fine with whatever JJ ends up doing, be it a rehash of Jedi or whatever. Regardless as to whether he ties the ending up, yeah, he does have a history of that, but it's okay with me as long as I feel like I felt in Force Awakens, which in turn I felt like as a child in the OG trilogy.
So do you think that part of...
Because really that's what they're selling us is nostalgia. It doesn't even matter what's on the screen.
But
they're selling us a feeling. If you understand that, then you have a success.
But here's the issue, right? So... And I don't want to get too far into this. We certainly can. I'd like to at least kind of wrap up the teaser. and go with thoughts and theories, but when 7 dropped, one of the biggest criticisms of it was episode 4 in HD. It was just a bigger Death Star, but you had the Falcon, you had Solo, and that's what it was, right?
It was a bigger Death Star, but you had Finn working in janitorial services on it, so that made it okay.
And there were so many, yeah.
And it was wintertime, and someone didn't have the right coat, so it's good.
Right, but
it's all very Firefly. It's great.
But so then they tried to go different with Last Jedi, right? They tried to break away from it a little bit. And then everyone complained that it wasn't the same, that this isn't my Star Wars. So people complain when it's the same and they complain when it's different. So
I'm not complaining. That's not me. I know we're not talking about me, but that's not my complaint.
Well, I mean, just in general, right? Like,
I don't want to see Mary Poppins in space. What are you doing? I don't want to see like a zoo revolution. What is that?
Okay, again, the casino scene I get. The Leia,
horses. I don't care.
The Leia scene, I don't hate it. If you watch the Selena scene where they do the Leia scene with "My Heart Will Go On" dubbed over it, it's so excellent. Perfect. It saves all of it.
Do you know what the best part of that movie was? The hell is her name? The chick from Jurassic Park.
Lorna Dern.
Thank you.
Or
when she initiates hyperdrive and fucking fucks that shit up.
That was badass.
That is the best part of that movie.
See, and it's funny that you say that because everyone hates that scene.
Well, they don't. A lot of the people who hated it because it was a woman who did it. Let's just be clear. There is a lot of hatred for this movie that has nothing to do with the movie itself. It has to do with the genders of the people who star in it.
Right. But, like the whole thing with Rey and the Mary Sue claims and stuff like that.
And I'm not saying you have to like this movie to prove that you are not a sexist, racist son of a bitch. But I am saying that a lot of the loudness comes from the racist, sexist sons of bitches out there.
Isn't liking this movie the easy way out, though, to proving that you're not a racist, sexist bigot?
Well, no, and that's the thing, is I think anything deserves to be looked at as the merits and values of the person who watches it. Realistically, if you can say, I don't enjoy it, here's why I don't enjoy it, or I do enjoy it, and here's why I enjoy it, and you're allowed to like or dislike things. Absolutely.
Right.
But so much of it becomes it's just a social justice warrior thing, or it's just trying to force equality, or they had a message they were trying to put out there. It's like every fucking movie is supposed to have a message. Otherwise, why do you watch it? Why do you spend 2 hours doing it?
And that's why the great and powerful Oz of the internet falls flat, because it created this outrage machine where now I can't say, oh, well, the whole Rose thing fell flat for me. I like Rose, but the whole romance thing, what the fuck? At the end, did not work for me.
It seemed out of nowhere, but at the same time, she's just gone through an emotional roller coaster in her life over the last couple of days. And while we presume it's romantically inclined, it doesn't necessarily have to be.
No, because I don't think Finn swings that way.
You're still hoping for a Finn Poe mashup?
Did you watch the...
You like a space docking in a galaxy far, far away?
Did you watch the panel?
No, I haven't yet.
Okay, so Stephen Colbert, who was incredible at leading the panel, asked Oscar Isaac what Poe is most passionate about. At which point, Oscar Isaac puts his arm around John Boyega and in the most suggestive tone ever says he is very passionate about his love of Finn. And that's it. So one...
And that's great.
I think it would be awesome because it fits those two characters. But 2, I think it would be great just to piss off all the raging homophobes.
Absolutely. Who are already pissed off because the novels that have come out in relation to the new Star Wars stuff have homosexual characters as a couple in it. And it was implied in Rogue One. But be that here or there, I would love to see that. If that's the direction that they're going with the characters, I'm totally okay with it. We haven't had a romantic relationship in this. We've had a lot of implications of romance, and we've had a lot of side-eyeing. Like, we feel like there's some side-eyeing of Rey towards Kylo. The part where they're shirtless in Episode 8, and she's visually uncomfortable, but you can't tell if it's uncomfortable because she just doesn't want to see it or because she kind of wants to see it.
She kind of wants to see it, but she's also...
Which totally implies that she's a Skywalker because, of course, you like someone you're related to.
Right,
yeah, of course.
Right.
She wants to see it, but she's taken aback by the whole big body, small head thing. She doesn't know what to think.
Dude, his
That is a
torso's
broad,
so
broad
weird.
man.
His torso's so weird looking. Anyway, all right. So next, we did not get this in the trailer, but we did get this in the panel, so I wanted to bring it up. Jana or Jana.
Jaina?
No, not Jaina. But it's Jana or Jana, or Jenna. I forget the actress's name. She is an African American actress from England, so she has the coolest accent. And she is playing a girl named Jana. We don't know the girl's last name.
Playing a girl?
No it was asked on the panel if she was Lando's daughter. And the only response she gave that Lando Calrissian was a very suave man and could have children all over the galaxy.
Even with robots.
So she could be Lando's daughter, which would be, I think, the easy way and the given, and is probably the most likely. But another theory that I didn't have, but I read online, was that
Jana to me.
Jana, okay, was that she is the Skywalker.
Really?
And she is Luke's daughter.
What if she's Lando's daughter with Leia?
Oh, shit.
Oh.
Yeah, motherfuckers.
You really do belong here with us amongst the clouds. Damn.
I didn't read that. I like that.
Time? What a bastard.
Well, I mean, Han and Leia were definitely not still a couple when we came into episode 7. Right. We don't know how long they weren't a couple. We know that they had Kylo together, but we have no idea.
And at what point did Kylo go away to the Hogwarts of the Force? Young? Old? We don't know.
Oh, and it's Naomi Aki. Naomi Aki is playing Jana.
What were you... She wasn't in the trailer, right? You said?
No, she was not in the trailer. She was on the panel, and there was a picture of her. You know what she kind of looks like? At least from the very far distance picture that I saw, she almost looks like what's-her-face from The Walking Dead. Like, just her style.
Like Michonne?
Yeah, like with the hair and stuff like that. Do you see that? But
I would never fucking sneeze at a Michonne in Star Wars. That would be badass.
No, that would be cool.
Yeah.
I have a feeling she's gonna be pretty badass.
Michonne's exit, like the designs for her exit from that show have been made, so I'm pretty sure she's gonna go on to bigger and better things. And I would love to see more of her outside of Walking Dead. Like so many of the people in Walking Dead.
Isn't she in Black Panther and Avengers?
She is, and it's fucking great. Oh, quick aside, again, I'm sorry to keep derailing this, but let's go to Disney for a minute, Disney Plus and Marvel. I don't know about you guys, but I'm not going to say I'm right on the cusp of burnout with Marvel movies, but I'm not completely enticed with all of the shows they're going to put out. But what I am enticed with is Marvel and the What If show. If they make a live action What If, which they are, I'm so fucking into that. That's awesome. Did you ever read What If comics when you were a kid?
No.
Oh my God. So great. If they do that, I'm super excited.
Because it gives them the opportunity to work with actors who might be leaving the film series,
right.
And who might not have characters alive at the end of this.
Like if you get a Cap What If, fucking A, man. Or like, what if Wolverine was there the whole time? I'll take that.
Interesting. That would be cool.
Or what if Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. had been better?
Had been good, right? Okay, so back to episode 9 teaser. We see First Order Jump Troopers on screen for the first time. They have existed in multiple games, but this is the first time we are seeing jetpack enhanced stormtroopers. So that was kind of cool. I thought that was exciting to see. I'm excited to see how they utilize them in the movie.
Since all stormtroopers were clones originally of Jango Fett.
I don't know if it's my hangouts or what, but I think Corey's camera is locked up because I see
my
Brandon
camera locks up sometimes.
Yeah, I've been seeing that too.
Oh, okay, all right, cool. So Jump Troopers, that's cool. Another scene that we saw in the trailer that brings up question is the medallion. Whose medallion was it? Who's holding it?
It had to be Luke's, right?
So, well, it was Luke's or Han. So one thing that we do know from the panel, and I will keep bringing things up for those that did not see the panel, there was no CGI Leia in this, which we knew, but JJ has overly confirmed.
Yeah, it's
What
all
they
the footage they got before, right?
Right. So it was deleted scenes from Force Awakens and from The Last Jedi that they wrote around and scripted into the movie so they could still utilize her and give her a proper send off and make her part of Episode 9. So perhaps that's just Leia holding Han's medallion in mourning of him?
Maybe. You bring it. You. I mean, yeah, possibly. I wouldn't discount that fact.
Any other thoughts?
Did we
Corey?
lose Corey?
No, I'm here. I'm trying to bring in to this without going too far outside of what the trailer itself is. One of my problems with the sequels is that it seems like they exist to bring in characters that we love from the original trilogy to then just have one die every movie. And that itself is a big miss for me as to what we wanted from these. If we can't get the story of Han, Leia, and Luke in the years later and everything, and it makes sense, at the age that they are, how much of the big stunts and stuff are they going to be able to do?
Well, with fear of sounding
to just
callous.
introduce them as side characters that are part of it, but then just get killed, sucks. I didn't need to see the story of Han getting stabbed to death by his son. I didn't need to see the story of Luke dying. But the fact is that Luke can probably still be a part of this. And I don't need to see Leia or Lando or Chewie die in this one. But I kind of feel like that's all they want to do is they want to have a closure on those characters.
Yeah.
And I think the better parts of these movies, the stuff that I'm far more interested in, is the stuff about the new characters.
Yeah.
The stuff about Rey and Kylo and Poe and
Right.
Finn and all of them. That is way more exciting to me than the rest of this stuff, which feels kind of tacked on and forced and misplaced.
I agree with you, but don't you think that, like, from the studio perspective, the wow factor of the character being killed, the iconic character, I mean, I don't know. Studios are like quintessentially out of touch with the audience, so they just think that needs to be there in order to draw people in. What will happen to this person? I agree with you, though. I would love to see the new character growth. I want to see the old characters come back, but I don't need to see them die. They can just be there. It's fine with me.
I think
really
Solo
would have liked
being...
to have seen more from Luke than what I got, and that really
Solo being killed, I think, was crucial to Kylo's growth. Killing his father, I think, was a big deal. So that was part of it. Plus,
we
again,
all come from broken homes. Couldn't we all kill our fathers?
Plus, again, the only way to get Harrison Ford to agree to come to Episode 7 was if Han Solo got killed. Like, that was part of the agreement. Leia didn't die.
He wanted that in Jedi, so
right. Leia didn't die in the movies. Luke, I mean, you and I, we talked about this on one of the podcasts back when TLJ first came out about how I liked the goofy old man Luke that just kind of said fuck all to everything. Like, I loved that the first thing we saw from Luke in The Last Jedi was he just threw the saber over his shoulder.
Right.
Like, I thought that was great.
That was a good version of expectation.
I appreciate Curmudgeon Luke, but that movie started me off with a bad taste in my mouth from the stupid fucking jokes with.
Oh, see, I love that too. Like
what that did was take me out of the galaxy far, far away and bring me right back to this one.
Why? You don't think they have prank call jokes over intercoms in Star Wars?
Really? Come on now. You really want to go to Tatooine and make a holding joke? Fuck off.
Yes.
I'm not down for that at all.
But think about Episode 4 when Han's doing the back and forth that, like, we're fine, we're all fine here. How are you?
Yeah, no, I know. That conversation has been had before. I know. But in this day and age with a cell phone and the whole holding thing,
it's a little.
The allegory is
not
too
the
apparent.
best version of that joke. It's not the best thing that they could have done with it. I get what they were going for, and I think that there is a history there that deserves to have a joke in that situation, and Poe is the one to make it.
I agree.
But you're right. It's not the best shot they could have taken at it.
Not the best execution, in my opinion, no.
Yeah.
and only because it takes me out of that world and brings me back to this one. And that's another benefit of the OG trilogy. Yes, they made that joke, but it has no connection for me at the time, right? So it's just, I don't know.
The other thing is that the journeys that we've been on, if we're still drawing parallels, which inevitably we have to the original trilogy, is that in the first one we had a good portion of the film being about the three main characters together, and we didn't really have that in Force Awakens. We had Finn and Rey together, and then in the second one we had them all separated. Rey's dealing with the Kylo stuff with Luke. Finn is there with did I just forget her name? Not Hope.
Rose?
Rose. And Poe's doing stuff on the ship with a bunch of other people, but we don't get much time of them together. And that was kind of the basis of the original trilogy, was that you had these three people who meet up. And then, yes, they do separate out, but when they come back together, that's the most exciting times.
So JJ touched on that in the panel too. He said that one of the main focuses of 9 is it's going to be the group going on an adventure together.
Right. And that's what I want to see in 9.
Right.
I want to see these characters and how they work together as a team, because we haven't really had that yet.
How did The Last Jedi end? On a down
it
note?
picks up a broom with his Mind Force powers.
No, the Last Jedi ended, depending on which character arc you're talking about. It was Kylo's.
Did it end with them together? I really don't remember. I remember the cave and
then,
like
raising the rocks and shit. Raising the rocks, yeah.
But it ended on the down ending of Empire, right? Where they're kind of in a ship and it's just like, well, what do we do now?
Well, right? No, it actually ended in a pretty up ending, because it was the Resistance and the Rebels finally have the inspiration across the universe again. They've inspired the children of the next generation.
Yeah, it was the little boy with the broom.
Yeah, okay. I do. Yeah. So that wasn't a joke. I totally forgot about that. I thought we were just making fun, but yeah, no, that happened.
Yeah. Hope is unconscious in the ship, but she comes out of it. Finn and Rey and Poe are all on the Millennium Falcon with Leia and Chewie and I guess everybody else from the survivors all managed to make it on that one ship and get off the planet. And Kylo looks like a little bitch in front of his second in command again, which questions, now that Kylo is supreme leader, does Kylo get an apprentice?
That is a good question.
And maybe that's the gloves in the ship.
Possibly.
We're talking about Domhnall Gleeson, right? The other guy. He survived that, didn't
Hux, he? Yeah, Hux survived. He has to survive. Okay. He's so good.
You ever seen Frank? That movie's so good. I love that movie.
I have not, no. Growly Bear says, the only Disney property where the mother does not die.
So far.
I think if even there was plans for Leia to die in episode 9, I think they were scrapped.
Which they should be, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't kill her on screen.
No.
It's and to go back really quick to Corey, what you were talking about, one of the things I was going to say is without trying to sound callous or cold, you, as we've seen with Carrie Fisher and Princess Leia, you kind of have to kill them on screen before they die in real life. Otherwise, you're trapped.
Or you just never have that story. You know, they told a story in the novels years ago where they killed Chewbacca. They had a moonfall on him or something. And no one needed to tell that fucking story. No one needed to write that. The fact that some editors said, oh, we need to write the death of Chewbacca just so it's down there and everything. And the writer's like, well, shit, I don't want to be the guy to do that. But then if I don't, someone else is going to do it. No, just don't do it. You know, it's totally unnecessary to be done. It's unnecessary to have a universe ending for these characters, because why? Why do we want to know that Luke dies? Why do we want to know that Han dies? We don't need that. You know, in our minds, they can live on forever. They can have billions of adventures, and that's what makes them evergreen. You know, to just say, oh, well, we're doing these movies, so if we don't kill them now, when are we going to get the chance? How about you don't take that chance?
That's fair.
You know, I never saw Mr. Whipple die when he was selling me fucking paper towels all those years. In my mind, there's still a Mr. Whipple going around. Fucking yeah.
Okay, that's fair. All right, so the last big iconic visual scene in the trailer, the Death Star wreckage, which was basically the whole crew. You see the Death Star off in the distance. That was probably the scene. until the final thing that happened, which we'll talk about after this, that was the thing that probably gave me the most goosebumps in the trailer, was that Death Star crash to the ground. I thought that was awesome. So there are questions that have been raised. Is it Yavin 4 or is it Endor? I'm going to assume it's probably Endor, only because of what followed. What followed, as we know, and we played the trailer for people watching and listening, is Palpatine laughs. So he is back in some form. Whether, like Brandon, you mentioned earlier, Force Ghost, I think that's the most likely. And that's why I say Endor for the Death Star, because Palpatine's remains would be there as well. Thoughts, opinions?
Yeah, I think it has to be Endor. I mean, given the Jedi, I would have assumed that the whole thing would have been vaporized as opposed to falling to Endor. But then again, in the special edition, I'm pretty sure we saw fireworks as pieces of the Death Star burnt up in the atmosphere. So yeah, I think Endor for sure. And I also think Force Ghost, because how are you going to have that? I also saw The Emperor in Britannia recently. Have you ever watched that show? He is a Celtic king, it's a fucking amazing show. You should watch it. It's got the governor from Walking Dead. He plays a Roman who invades Britain. It's good. Regardless, I'm excited to have him back in Star Wars.
No, Ian's awesome.
So here's a guess. We assume that this is something that the quartet is going to, the heroes, or is this something that Kylo is going to? Because Kylo right now has no directive. He has taken things onto himself, but he's always been living in the shadow of his grandfather. He's always been trying to be Vader, not even Anakin. He's trying to be Vader. And I think he's always felt driven by the person who was controlling him, which up until this point recently was Snoke. So is he going to the crash site of the Death Star to find a direction, hopefully from his grandfather, because that would also be where, Anakin's remains were burned if it's near the forest moon of Endor? Or is he going there and then the Emperor, in whatever form he takes, is now going to be that final snap for him to get him to go fully dark in the way that the dark side needs a leader to be?
Do you think that what you get from the Emperor there is going to be akin to like a holocron, a Sith holocron? Why would there be a holocron there? There probably wouldn't, but something like that, whereas you had all these Jedi holocrons to find before.
So there have been things that they've pulled from the now defunct EU. That they have, like, Ben Solo, Kylo Ren is Jason Solo, right? And Kylo has some similarities to Revan in the mask.
Yeah, so let's not forget Thrawn. He came.
Yep, and then the woman whose name I always mess up,
Marjade.
No, Mon
Mothma.
Yeah, wasn't. I always say Mon Mothra.
I understand that.
Yeah, so all of that was pulled from the EU and made canon under Disney. So
what about Mon Mothma was pulled from the EU?
Wasn't she in one of the movies?
Yeah.
Wasn't she EU?
Well, no, she was in one of the movies, the original movies.
But wasn't her character expanded on in the EU?
Yeah, like everybody's. But she wasn't an EU character. She was an OG character.
No, I knew that, but I thought the direction her character took was touched on in, was it Rogue One?
Much in the way that there would have been twin Skywalkers, if we follow the extended universe.
That's true. So anyway, the reason I brought that up was because one of the things that happened in the EU was Palpatine cloned himself. So do we think that is perhaps a possibility?
It could be, especially if you played like Force Unleashed with Starkiller. Now he was just a clone, and cloning was a huge overarching thing throughout all of Star Wars.
Now, is perhaps Snoke a defunct clone of Palpatine?
A failed clone of? Yeah, it could be.
Because I don't think we're done with Snoke.
I hope not, because if he was just some nameless, faceless placeholder, and we don't get a fucking backstory or a reason, it's fucking stupid.
Or
I
it's
don't
like
even
the
need him.
prequels where they introduce a new bad guy almost every film.
Yeah, that. Too.
Yeah, dude. No, it's funny.
Here's General Grievous out of nowhere.
No, as I went back and watched episodes 7 and 8 this morning at work, I got that feeling like after Solo dies and right before Starkiller blows up, when him and Rey are fighting, and she chops the hand and then gets that upward slice with the saber, and I had that same feeling that I had when episode 7 first dropped, because I loved Kylo even before the movie. Before I saw the movie, like, I love the saber, I love the mask, I love the voice. Like, Adam Driver nails that character, and I swore they were gonna Darth Maul him, and like when he sat back up with the big scar across his face, I was so relieved.
No, that's the thing. They took the best thing about the prequels and they put it into Kylo Ren, which is the fighting of your nature versus nurture. Am I light? Am I dark? And he is choosing not to be beholden to either. Still a very dark direction, still wants to destroy everything about his past so he can find some sort of control for his future, whatever that means to him. But he is not beholden to the Sith in the same way that he's not beholden to the Jedi and wouldn't be beholden to the Jedi. He is a gray, which could be, again, part of the reason why Rey's gone over to white, if you think laundry has something to do with anything. But that's
it does.
Perfect,
it does. Look at Luke in the OG.
That was a perfect use of what Anakin went through in the prequels, is this fighting of, am I good or am I evil? You know, I'm being pulled in two different directions, and the choice that Anakin made was horrible by the end of the prequels, but then it leads to him making the other choice at the end of Jedi to be forgiven, to embrace his son, to protect Luke from the Emperor, and to give up what it was of the power and everything of the dark side. I think that is what we've gotten right in these, is that they took the prequels and they made them make more sense in this context of what we're doing now. It gave them some validation, because there's not a lot that people want to do to validate the prequels. For good or ill, again, Nate, you love them. A lot of people don't. But if they've happened, we have to give them the ability to say that they matter too. And I think in Kylo Ren's character, that shows where it does matter. And it shows what we are taking from that, and we're doing this new story. So they've gathered some really great stuff from these other movies. One of the things I said that they missed in the prequels was they had no Han Solo. You know, in the new series, we kind of got two. We've got Poe in attitude, but we've got Finn as a person who is a rogue who kind of betrayed being a bad guy to be a good guy, and is constantly going against the fact of, like, well, I just want to survive. I just want to get out of here. I want to protect Rey. I have to leave to go protect her. Whatever you guys are going through, I can't necessarily help you with that as much as I'm trying to help this thing that's more important to me. And he's just constantly being turned into a hero that he never plans or sees himself being. You know, when Rose points him and says, "You're the hero, Finn," he's like, "I'm no hero. But sure, I'll take the praise a little bit, because why not?" I love that they are seeing the things that we enjoyed about these movies, and they are integrating them to this new generation. Some things don't quite hit the mark, but in that case, I think they've taken exactly what they should have of Anakin's journey before being Vader, and turned us into a new Vader that has got the conflict that Vader had that we didn't see behind the scenes until the end. We're getting that whole journey in a better respect in this than I think that we got before. And where that ends could be that he is the new Skywalker, or Rey is the new Skywalker, or Janna is the new Skywalker. There's so many opportunities of who it could be, but if it was him, it would almost make sense. And it would be a nice way to end, so that it's not the same story told again.
But don't you think that the Skywalker gone dark side being redeemed is the same story being told again for the third time?
Not if he lives. Not if he becomes the actual hero.
No. So,
like, I think Rey fits. I mean, not only because I it's what I've called from episode 7, and I'm not alone in that. But but I think that she stands to be like, yes, she skirted Gray a little bit in 8, but I think that her being a Skywalker, she stands to be, and that's why it's the rise of Skywalker, because Anakin fell and was redeemed. Luke almost fell and was
if you look at
redeemed.
the EU, Luke did, and if you look at his uniform throughout the OG trilogy, starts in white and ends in black.
Right, and then at the very end of Return, part of that black falls off and reveals gray.
Now, let me just say that Luke went from white to beige to black, and secondly, let me say that, Corey, I waited an hour and 2 minutes, which is way too fucking long, for you to have a classic Corey rant and say something that was super eloquent and well said. That's really the only reason I'm here.
Thanks.
Nate, continue. Sorry, you know I love
So
you.
no, and it was great because thanks to Corey's camera, it was all done in Corey's stop motion, which was awesome.
Oh, I got live action Corey on my side.
Really? It's really laggy on my end.
It has been, but it's been fine for the last few minutes. So
That's weird. Maybe mine just
I also don't move a lot anymore. I'm 50. And I'm trying not to control things, Brandon. It's not my show. But I do look. I know that the expectation is that Rey is the Skywalker, and I'm 100% okay with that. And it absolutely makes sense. It's a journey that we're leading down with her.
I think she needs to be.
That would make sense in a payoff. But you know, it doesn't have to be the only thing. And what is the name? What is the name of the new movie?
The Rise
of Skywalker.
Rise of Skywalker. What if it's not just one?
So let's get into that. We've kind of covered the trailer. So I'm going to lay out, I laid out 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. I laid out 5 possible theories of the title. So I'm just going to lay out all 5. I'm sure that we'll go back and forth. And if you guys want to add anything, anybody in the chat room wants to add anything as far as a theory, by all means, chime in. So first one I put is the redemption of Kylo Ren. Because he is a Skywalker by blood. So, I mean, he's Ben Solo, but he's a Skywalker. So there's that. Are they retconning Rey being a nobody? Or was maybe not even retconning, but was Kylo lying to her to kind of manipulate her? And is she Ben's sister or is she Luke's kid?
By the way, Kylo, I noticed this today's viewing. Kylo's not the only one who told Rey that she was a nobody. She said it herself first. When he starts to say to her, you've always known, and she says that she's nobody, and then he continues the thought.
But could that just be reinforcing her doubt to manipulate her? Yeah. Okay.
But at least it wasn't just he said it and she believed it.
Right. Theory number 3, is it another kid yet to be revealed? Like I kind of mentioned a little bit earlier with Janna, is she Luke's daughter? Or is there anybody else who is a Skywalker that we haven't met yet? Anakin, is it the rise of Skywalker? Is this the ultimate redemption story of the original Skywalker? Like, does he come back in some way, shape, or form? As I had said, rumors of Hayden have been circulating. Or is it a new Skywalker? And this is the one that I like the most because this plays with the idea of Ren getting the influence from Palpatine and ultimately creating a new Skywalker from the power of the Force. Because as we know, going all the way back, Anakin didn't have a father. So
you
Anakin
want a rehash of the prequels' Force Immaculate Conception? The midichlorian rape of some woman to create Anakin.
So here's the thing, right? Here's the thing.
I don't think they'll rope us that many times. I think it'll be Rey, and I think that it will be Kylo, and they will bring back the Jedi under the name Skywalker. The banner Skywalker. House Skywalker.
What if Rey and Kylo are together and they have the new Skywalker?
Well, that's incestual, and those genes don't work.
It's only incestual if she's actually related, which has not been established yet.
So what if she ends up being a nobody and being the progenitor of a whole new generation of Skywalkers via Kylo?
That's what I mean. And what if the redemption of Kylo isn't just Kylo becomes good, but Kylo becomes someone who is training the next generation of Jedi, but being trained by Jedi and Sith alike goes to what Luke's point is that the Jedi
Are
and the Sith
gray?
are gray. Neither are infallible and neither should be in charge.
My dick is so hard.
Hold on.
Corey.
I have
Amazing.
a whole new theory for anyone that was listening back for episode 8 and the assumptions or the guesses or the theories. The one that I held on to the most was with Snoke, which obviously did not happen. And that was with Darth Plagueis. He is one major character from the EU that played a huge role and has never been touched upon. Again, EU, no longer canon. But I still like the idea of Plagueis being the one that was able to remain alive forever and is also the one that used the Force, or if you want to use the M word, we can say midichlorians, but he used the Force to impregnate Anakin's mother and create a child of the Force to ultimately bring the all-powerful being to existence. So if they don't go quite that route, and I've kind of changed this theory up a little bit and I like it. So I was having a chat with Amy about, because she doesn't like Rey being a Skywalker. She doesn't like the whole like one family runs the galaxy type thing, right?
I'm totally with Amy on that.
Now so I said, well, what if she's Palpatine's daughter or granddaughter? And she said that that was cool. And I said, well, what if that still makes her a Skywalker? And she goes, what do you mean? And I'm like, what if we don't get Darth Plagueis? But what if Palpatine was Plagueis? And what if, like, not by name, but he took that role. And what if Palpatine...
Did we ever find out what Palpatine's Darth name was?
Hold on. What if Palpatine was... What if Palpatine was the one that used the Force to create Anakin? And what if he was the one that was the father to Anakin, which is why he raised him like a father and bred him to be Vader? Therefore, that would in turn by blood make Palpatine a Skywalker. So if Rey is Palpatine's daughter, Rey is a Skywalker. Now, Amy in the chat here says, I refuse to accept Space Jesus. But it's not really an accept thing, because we know from episode 1 that Anakin didn't have a father. He was born by immaculate conception. There was no father, there was no sex, there was no penetration. So we know that Anakin is a child of the Force. That is not theory, that is not EU, like that is canon by episode 1. Anakin
so she
not...
said... And she also said the back door means that I'm still a virgin.
Yeah, well, we don't need God's loophole. I think that Shmi should go on Maury, and we'll see who the fucking father is.
Anyway, so what do you guys think of that? Or any other, like, I like that makes me excited. Like, if they can wrap this all around to where Palpatine started this whole fucking thing, and that's why he's back to like bring this all together. And like I mean, I love bad endings, like not bad as in quality, but I love dark endings. Like that's why I loved Far Cry 5's ending so much, because everyone complained that there was no happy ending. Like you either chose to kill your friends or you chose to nuke the country. There was no happy ending. But I know we're not going to get that because it's Star Wars and it's Disney. So I know we're not going to ultimately get a non-happy ending. But if we can just get like a hint of it, like, I mean, I don't know, like that whole, like, there's so many possibilities, especially since we know that Palpatine's coming back. There are so many ways to go.
Can you imagine the pressure it must take? Like, they're ending a saga that's been, what, almost 50 years? It's crazy to think, like, can you imagine being in that writer's room?
Well, it's also
like,
they're ending a saga that they didn't create. And so boy, I'm gonna I'm gonna regret even going down this road. So there's the argument of certain people who say, well, Disney has completely ignored George Lucas's original plans for the sequels and everything, and
Like
that's
George
probably
Lucas Star Wars inner space shit.
yeah, and that's the same people who are waiting for the Snyder cut of Justice League.
Right.
I just Lucas already showed me with the prequels that I wasn't really excited about where his ideas for Star Wars were 20 years later. So I'm not sure that I would have been on board with his ideas for Star Wars 30 to 40 years later. All that said, it is kind of a rough thing to do, to come into something that is so beloved and so established and be the new guy who has to take on that mantle and say, well, this is how it's all going to work now, and here's how we're going to cap it. It's a hard thing to do, to say episode 9 finishes this off and the way that we chose is the right way to do it. You can't really be the decider of that. You just make the best choices that you can and hope that the audience is going to embrace it. But it's still it's a cap on something that was at one point considered by many of us to be perfect. Idealized, sure. But there were not a lot of people arguing that the original Star Wars trilogy wasn't a great set of movies.
No. And would you not say that to a point, the original Star Wars trilogy is the progenitor of what we equate as geekdom and fandom today? There's not really, yes, there's comics, but there's not really anything. I mean, outside of, you have Star Wars, and then you have the seed that Kevin Smith planted in the 90s with Clerks, given unto us today, what we have now. Like, it's all from those two things. A direct line can be drawn from Star Wars, a little bit of comics, Kevin Smith, this.
I think the trilogy idea that became so popular in the movies after Star Wars really owes it to Star Wars. It's not like it was necessarily the only thing to ever do that, but trilogies really seem to matter more and be what people wanted to achieve. Your Back to the Future trilogy, your Lethal Weapon trilogy, until so fuck it, let's put Chris Rock in there. All these things, it was like, this was you weren't doing it right if you couldn't do what Star Wars did, and nobody could really do what Star Wars did. It's like trying to be the new Beatles. I'm sorry, Oasis, Wonderwall's great, but you didn't fucking do it. It's so hard to make something that was so great continue. And that's why I feel that the prequels and the sequels had so many challenges, is because it was already the best there was. So when you do the new things, are you making something better? No, of course you're not. Are you making something as good? That's a real fucking hard thing to say. Worse, are you dirtying up what's already there? And for some people, I think that they did that. I think Lucas did that when he went back there and started changing and fiddling with stuff and saying, oh, they weren't good enough the way they were before, and now I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, and do this, and this is the way that it is now. And every time I see Anakin's dumb face at the end of Jedi now, I just get more and more pissed off, because Prowse deserved to be there.
Right, but continuity, right? Like the original Star Wars.
It's not like they put fucking Obi-Wan looking like Ewan McGregor at the end. It's not like your perfect version of yourself is now your Force ghost. It's Anakin got to be Anakin again, but he was still Prowse because that's what he looked like. It's not like Yoda was now suddenly only 400 years old as opposed to a couple thousand years old.
Right.
God damn it. It was unnecessary, and it's the mindset of somebody who was already breaking their shit that was perfect. So everybody who comes in after that kind of gets a fucking free ride, in my opinion.
Yeah. See, yeah. I don't know.
Lucas cracked under the pressure of his own weight, man.
He did.
How can you improve on that?
Maybe this comes from like we talked about earlier, where I wasn't so in love with the OG trilogy at first, or as early as
you didn't want to go to Toshi's station and get some power converters.
But like for example, right? Like, I mean, we're well, really quick before we go off, do we have any other theories about the title? Like, did we kind of cover everything? Rey, so. Kylo. All right. So back to Corey's talk about like what Lucas changed and fucking things up and changing things and stuff like that. Like, I am one of those people, and I know there aren't many of these people, but I agree with the change of Han not shooting first. Because I think that if you have Star Wars, Episode 4, before it was Episode 4, when it was just Star Wars, before it was a trilogy, then yes, it makes sense. But as you get Episode 5 and 6, and then 7, and you see that Han is a sentimental, caring, loving individual, it doesn't make sense that he shoots first. He's not a murderer.
Not to mention Solo in and of itself, but yeah,
right.
That's his whole arc as a character. He goes from
he becomes less jaded, and he starts to believe in something. But in that first few moments, we're talking about a guy who's been chased down and is likely to be killed at any second by people that he's already betrayed, and knows that they are hired murderers.
Yeah,
and
he's a
so
literal
his
space
mindset is,
trucking
I'm sure as
gunslinger.
shit gonna shoot you before you shoot me.
Right. He is a gunslinger in space who happens to drive the equivalent of a fucking truck. He's a space trucking gunslinger. I think I just said that.
But, oh, hold on. Yeah. I don't want to miss this. Growly brings up something. Is it Klieg? Klieg Lars? Is that
Uncle Owen and the aunt? Yeah.
Yeah, and Shmi Skywalker?
Yeah, Shmi.
Could that be an unmentioned Skywalker?
Someone's just been sitting there tending the fire the whole time, like, someday, Dad.
Well, but hold on, though. She's not a Skywalker. But she wouldn't be a Skywalker by blood.
Which one?
Who? Shmi Skywalker. She's just
Shmi was, yeah. She was the mother of Anakin.
Oh. Yeah, but I think that powers
Owen Lars or whatever. Yeah, no,
but no, he was saying Lars and Skywalker. But I don't think that would because I think the power started with Anakin. I don't think the power started with her. She didn't have any powers to be mentioned.
Well, it takes about 80 days for metachlorines to clear out of your system. You got to drink a lot of liquids, and she was on a desert planet, so that only goes away with like 9,000 flushes of blue milk.
But anyway,
the blue milk cleanse. That's funny.
So yeah, I don't know. All I can say is I'm excited. I love the teaser.
So much damn blue milk. I could force choke these sand people.
I do want to say back to Amy's point of I don't accept Space Jesus. So again, we are taught about the Force when Rey explains it and Luke says, that everything you just said is 100% wrong. The Force is in everything and everybody. And the fact is that it doesn't have to be, if we're going off of the established history, it doesn't have to be that a Skywalker is made just from birth. It doesn't need to be that a Jedi is made from heredity. It's something that should be able to be gathered by others. It's something that should happen on its own. If we're going by the history that they've established. If it's Skywalker name, well, there's nobody running around using the Skywalker name at this point. But if someone were to adopt that name or find their heritage, then we're pretty much at two people. From who we have now, we have Kylo and we have Rey. And if it's Rey, then it is the payoff to the presumption since the introduction of the character. And if it's Kylo, it is the payoff to an idea that a Jedi can be redeemed not just through death and not just through being saved by somebody else, but by through their own actions. And that would be the most interesting story to me that could happen because it's one we haven't seen yet. If Vader had lived at the end of 6, that would be the story.
Right. Well, Spatula, no, we know Skywalker. We know he's a Skywalker by blood. We're just wondering if he's the Skywalker that they're talking about in the title. That's kind of what we're going with there.
Or what if Skywalkers is now what people call themselves because they're not Jedi?
So now, hold on a second. So
right,
I'm gonna.
that's what I had said earlier. Is that exactly?
It becomes a clan name.
In homage to the final Jedi and the resurgence of Jedi. No longer are they Jedi, or at least if they are Jedi, they are Jedi in the name of Skywalker.
Like a bunch of young to teenage characters all show up in a group and they all hold out their lightsabers and say, "I am Skywalker. I am Skywalker."
So there's this
and
article
they are named Raphael, Leonardo, Donatello.
Oh, that'd be so good.
There's Teenage Mutant Ninja Skywalkers. There's this article from Screen Rant that Amy had sent me. And it talks about how Skywalker is no longer just a name, but a title. So
well, didn't he give himself time to pass into legend when he was exiled? Everyone knew the name, but no one knew where he was, and at that point, they weren't even sure if they were real.
If you remember episode 7, it got to the point that they thought it was a myth.
Right.
We call it the Eddie and the Cruisers method.
So essentially, there's a whole new force power, and this goes back into like the days of Clone Wars and things like that. And it basically, it's a new force power, and one that it says it redefines the Skywalker legacy. In order to understand this new force power, and I'm reading word for word in this article here. In order to understand this new force power, you first have to understand a more familiar power: the Jedi's ability to swap blaster bolts aside with ease. Zahn's novel establishes that Jedi can do this because they have a degree of precognition, experiencing what he refers to as double vision. There's a split second in which a Jedi sees both present reality and future threat. And this glimpse of the future allows a Jedi to move their lightsaber in a position to block a blaster bolt, or to move to move with, like, you know, the extreme reflexes, right? Like we saw, like with Anakin and pod racing. So when they're facing a physical attack, it's a smart explanation of a basic force power, but then he takes it one step further and introduces the force power known as skywalking. Now this was with the Thrawn of alliances and stuff, and it's a place where hyperspace is warped and distorted by supernova chains. It says perhaps collision with dark matter, blah blah blah. But anyway, it goes on to pilots, and it says just as a Jedi predicts an incoming blaster bolt, so a force sensitive pilot could predict an imminent threat of a gravity mass. And just as the Jedi swats away the bolt, the force-sensitive pilot can maneuver their vessel away from danger. The Chiss refer to a Force user who can do this as a Skywalker. And that prompts a rather amusing reaction from Thrawn when he first meets Anakin Skywalker. So, could they be perhaps going that route? Is it a little too much EU?
I feel like it's sitting there and listening to that explanation in the movie is going to be like watching the fucking meetings happening in episode 1 again. It's like, I don't need this much fucking tech speak. I don't need it all spelled out for me. I want to watch something interesting happen. Show me some fucking laser swords and some fucking blasters and something furry to hang on to, and that's my movie.
Corey, you
I don't even have anything to say to that, man. That's fucking.
That's the difference between an EU novel and an original film.
If I was gonna get an EU novel, the only one I ever would have wanted to see was the Jedi Academy, that trilogy by Kevin Anderson.
Yep,
that's it. I don't know if either of you have read that or if anybody else has, but I thought it was
stayed miles and miles away from the EU. Okay, so anyway, so I think that kind of wraps up our talk of episode 9. Now, really quick, this is going a little bit long. I know we have a couple people in the chat who are probably excited. Corey, I know you're not much of a gamer, so I don't know where your excitement falls. But another big announcement that we got today, The Fallen Order. It's a new game coming out a month prior to episode 9. It's being developed by Respawn, published by EA. And it is following the story. It is a single-player Star Wars adventure. It is following the story of a Padawan who was one of the few remaining Jedis after Order 66. And it looks incredible by the trailer. The main character is being played by Cameron, whose last name I always mess up. Monaghan, who is famous for his role in Shameless, as well as being the Joker, aka Jerome, on Gotham. He is an incredible actor. He has an awesome voice and a really cool look to him. He was completely mocapped, so it is him playing the role in Fallen Order.
Wait, so we have a person who's played the Joker, playing someone.
That's why I sent
Star Wars.
That's why I sent that text.
God, you stole his thunder, man.
That's why I sent that text in our group chat.
I sent that shit to him earlier, and I was like, he's gonna love to announce this on the show. Fucked him right out of it. You fucked him right out of it.
No, but anyway, whatever. But anyway, so I don't know. I think it looks great, and I'm excited to see that story. Spatula is apparently upset about the wall running. He's a fucking Jedi. Of course he can wall run. And it's Respawn.
You've got to make it a little bit like Force Unleashed. That Force Unleashed game is great.
Titanfall isn't the only game to have wall running. You ever played Mirror's Edge? Mirror's Edge also had wall running.
Not to mention that stupid fucking Call of Duty game. I don't know the number. Advanced Warfare had wall running. There you go. That's the one.
But anyway, so
what Prince of Persia was?
Yeah, Prince of Persia was all wall running.
Right.
I think it looks great.
Let's not forget that this game is third person action, which I love.
Right.
So
it is.
I'm into
it is Uncharted. It is Tomb Raider. It is everything a Star Wars story single player game needs to be. I kind of laugh at all the people who are like, "Oh, it's EA." Yeah, but it's not DICE, so that's not a bad thing. But no, and so this is more expanded story. This is Disney creating their own side stories, and I like that we're getting them in alternate forms. Like we saw Rogue One. I didn't love Rogue One. I thought it was kind of slow. I enjoyed Solo. I'm excited to get Mandalorian. I'm excited for more Clone Wars and what else they're gonna do with Disney Plus. I'm excited for the game. I think it looks great, and I think it's gonna be cool to see that story. I think it's awesome that Cameron's gonna be the character. Like I know you had originally sent me the trailer earlier. Corey, have you watched the trailer? Like I know, like I said, you're not a big gamer, but like, are you at all curious as to maybe what the story might be, or interested in seeing what it's going to be?
Well, I'm curious, absolutely, and the reason I'm not a gamer is just financial reasons more than anything. I would certainly play a quality Star Wars game, and I've played Star Wars games in the past, and I think that this is the right style of game from the way that you're describing it to tell a good story and have ultimate playability. It's the kind of Star Wars game that I think I've missed over the last few things that they've tried out.
Right.
What I'm hearing and what I'm seeing now is a more deliberate rollout of the Star Wars stuff, as opposed to just, we're going to do a movie every year. We're going to do this. We're going to do all these multiple different things. We're going to launch all this stuff. And now it's starting to feel like they're having some editing. They're having some removal of like too many things. Let's think about what we're doing. Let's make wise decisions and not just overload everybody with Star Wars because we have the license.
Don't you think it's funny though that they need to have a few films that are mediocre and middle of the road for them to figure that out? How out of touch can they be where they just see dollar signs and they don't see any strategic value to having Star Wars?
I think they saw the value. I think what they did is they overestimated what they could do with it in such a short period of time. And they felt like, oh, we've got to jump on it while it's hot, and didn't realize that it may not always be as hot.
Right. It's like Star Wars isn't going to sell just because it's Star Wars.
Not if you flood the market with it and you do shit.
Well, see, the
shit
thing
every
is,
time.
though, the thing is we can blame Marvel and the Marvel fanboys for doing that because it's worked for Marvel. At least for
Marvel, by and large, has been quality almost every time. Not every time, but almost every time.
Right, but it can be good, but still be too much. Like now that the podcasts are back up and we're going to try and be doing this weekly. So we need to stay, at least me personally, need to stay on top of things. I'm going to end up seeing Endgame in theaters But I
So
had
what are we,
zero,
like a decade into the Marvel movies?
but like I had zero desire to see Endgame in theaters.
Oh, that's not where I'm at with that. But it took me this long to not see every movie in the theater. I missed Ant-Man and the Wasp. I might go see Captain Marvel tomorrow. I'll see it regardless because it seems like my responsibility.
Marvel was really good. I thoroughly enjoyed Marvel.
But I mean, it took literally. Are we a decade in at this point?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it took 10 years for me to say, all right, well, maybe I can skip this one or that one. Like I didn't see Venom, not related, but I didn't see it. And I haven't seen.
I was going
to
until the
but I
reviews
waited
sucked.
for that to be on Prime streaming. I'm not going to pay for that.
Yeah, we're
Also,
11 years. We're 11 years in.
Keep in mind that the Marvel thing is that what we're talking about with Star Wars is a family line. You know, what if Marvel had been releasing all these movies for the last 10 years and it was all the Fantastic Four and just jumping backwards and forwards in time of the Fantastic Four? All right, here's the Fantastic Four as superheroes today, and then we're going to back and tell three movies about the Fantastic Four like before anything happened, and then we're going to go forward and talk about, you know, Franklin Richards.
But don't you think that we'll get to that point?
Future. Well, no, absolutely. But I'm saying that what Marvel's done is they had a much broader universe that they were drawing from, and Star Wars has tried to be contained to these line of stories. Even with the prequel stuff of Rogue One, it's a story that happened in conjunction before.
Right, and the same with Solo. And I think that's where they fall short, is they're not willing, at least yet, to expand. With the upcoming trilogy being done by the Game of Thrones guys, my hope for that is that we get Old Republic. Like, I want to be thousands of years removed from where we are right now. Like, give us Old Republic. Like, we've seen it in Knights of the Old Republic 1 and 2. We've seen it in SWTOR. It's been in comics. It's been in the EU. All of which has been decanonized, including the games. Like KOTOR 1 and 2 and SWTOR are no longer canon. But now we've got The Mandalorian. So that, and we had tie into the Mandalorian War in Rebels.
Yep.
So they are inching closer to recanonizing the Old Republic, at least their version of it. Give us an Old Republic trilogy. I would love to see the Jedi Council, and I would love to see the Sith Temple and the Sith Council. Like, give us that.
Feeds directly from the prequels. That's how you make the prequels worthwhile, is by doing that.
Like, show us the introduction of the Rule of Two. Like, bring all of this into play. Like, I mean, because I don't know. There's a fucking universe. They could do anything, especially now that they've decanonized all the bullshit. They could do anything.
And that's the other thing about Star Wars and why it's such a challenge, is because when you have so many different things, so many different arms, and Lucas ran into this. This is why the EU got decanonized, is because you have to have someone who is really organized and in charge of these things to say, oh, well, you're doing this in the comics? Okay, well, now that the comics actually fucking matter, and we don't have just some green bunny running around in a fucking suit, then we have to think about how this is going to impact the stories of what we're doing in the films. And if it's going to do it in a negative way, fuck you and your comics, because the films are where we make all our money.
Right, but that's why you remove it.
Toys when I was a kid, man. Come on.
That's why you remove it from, like I said, like you go Old Republic, you are a few thousand years removed. Or just like play it safe if you need to, but give us new stories.
Stories. Why not?
Like, I
remember going as a kid and buying a copy of Splinter of the Mind's Eye at the 7-Eleven in front of my apartment complex and thinking how badass this is. I get a story about Star Wars in between the actual Star Wars movies, and then the realization of like, wow, this can't have happened.
But like, I mean, we get it a little bit, like I mentioned earlier, we get it a little bit with Kylo, but I would love to see Revan on screen. Because, you know, he is that gray. Like, he goes dark, he goes light, he goes dark.
Yeah.
To see that, but then there's the Revan that I know from KOTOR, right? And whether it's still canon or not, like, that's a Star Wars story I care about, right? Because I loved the two games, and as much as BioWare fucked up SWTOR, like the story was good. Do I want to see Revan ruined on screen if they don't do it to what I perceive as right? And then do I become that hashtag not my Revan guy? Because then it's a story I care about, right?
Right, and that's the thing is I think every character is somebody's favorite. And the other challenge of stuff like this is that the world of today, we know that it's not enough to just have Star Wars and like Star Wars. Is that there are some assholes who are spending 2 hours on a podcast talking about the ins and outs of Star Wars and the history of Star Wars and why something works and why something absolutely doesn't work, whether or not they're right. These conversations are happening all the time. There's no room of people who are working on Star Wars that are more devoted than the people who have been watching and loving Star Wars for years. They are certainly, entitled to every choice that they make, and I'm sure that they lambast themselves of like, did we do that right? Did we fuck this up? Are we ruining this shit for everybody? But for us, it doesn't matter because it's not what we would have chosen, so it's never going to be 100% perfect. When it was perfect is when we didn't have the time to think about it, it just existed.
But I think in that is something that, as fans, and I'm certainly guilty of it too, we need to take a step back from it, right? It's the whole hashtag not my and insert fandom here needs to go away because it's not ours. Like everyone's like you see that mostly right now with Star Wars and with Disney, and like I've seen the comments like, oh yeah, if you accept the Disney canon, you can't not accept it. They fucking own it. It's theirs. It's their Star Wars. They own it. They bought the rights to it. That's the story. Whether you like it or not is up to you. And whether you want to consume it and spend your money on it is up to you. But I'm sorry, that's Star Wars. And I think what a lot of people just need to do is maybe take a step back and go, you know what? Maybe I'm not a fan anymore.
Right.
Maybe I liked the OG. Maybe I even liked the prequels. But I don't like where they're taking 7 and 8, and I'm not willing to give 9 a chance. Fine.
But then we also have to stop ourselves from selling somebody that they're not a true fan.
That's a whole other conversation, and I agree. And I've been guilty of it in not in Star Wars so much, but I've been guilty of it everywhere. Like, I mean, the whole, like, look at gaming, hashtag PC Master Race is a version of that. Like, you're not a real
gamer. It's so funny that my world doesn't have any hashtag Master Race anything.
Like, you're not.
It's so weird when I hear stuff like that.
Right, but it's like you're not a real gamer. In my life. Like, you're not a real gamer if you play on console, or you're not a real gamer. Like, okay, you may play on PlayStation, but you're not a real gamer if you play on Xbox, or like, or now it's the whole, like, you're not a real gamer if you game on a mobile phone. Like, let's just embrace all of it, right? And why does it matter? So, and I don't know, or everyone, when they change little thing, like with Captain Marvel and how they made Marvel a woman as opposed to a man, and like, oh well, that's not mine. Well, it's theirs. They fucking own it. So you like, I don't know.
I'm a camp that's much more upset that Shazam can't also be called Captain Marvel. Not because I don't think that Carol deserves to be called Captain Marvel too. I get it. It bums me out so much because I was raised with Billy Batson who was Captain Marvel.
Blame DC on that.
It's funny how these things matter to us, but I wish JF was here because JF is a person who has created stuff.
Do you have 8 more hours? Because I don't have 8 more hours.
Yeah, no, but that's fine. But I'm saying JF has written a book that has a good amount of popularity, a good amount of fandom. I am a fan of his book, and is in the process, as far as I know, of working on or publishing the sequel to that book. Now, the anxiety that I feel for him of doing a sequel to a well-received book is so high. I can't imagine what the shit is going to do to him as it gets closer and closer to coming out, and then comes out and people react in the first one is better. oh, this one did things that I don't think it should have done because I wanted the story to go this direction. Being somebody who makes something is hard enough. Being somebody that makes something for other people to then see and judge and speak their minds to is even harder. It's why so many of my stories are on my hard drive and not out
published. There. Yeah. See, and I get that, but that shouldn't exist.
It shouldn't, but it absolutely does.
It does. And the reason that should, like you mentioned, and it's difficult from a fan perspective, but you talked about the people in the room and ending 9, right? They shouldn't give a fuck what we think at all. And I mean that seriously, me included, should not give a fuck what we think at all. They own it. They own it. They're writing it. It's their story. They should end it how they think it should end.
Well, but here's the
and they might hope that we like it.
It's not just hoping that we like it. It's hoping that it sells, because all of them are there to do a job. If I come in and I write Batman comics, you know, I feel a personal responsibility, but also DC's going to hold me to a personal responsibility of don't fuck this up.
No. You know, have you seen the last DC movies? DC is not holding you to that responsibility.
I know. Well,
have you seen the trailer for the new Joker movie? It's more like DC is holding you to you must fuck this up.
My wife wants to see the Joker movie. Let me express to you what I feel about this. Is I have less than zero. I feel actual anger towards the Joker movie because I don't think a Joker movie should be made about his origin.
No.
I don't think this looks like a Joker movie in anything other than the fact that they put clown makeup on Joaquin Phoenix.
Exactly. See, But
my wife, who is not a comic fan in any way, shape, or form, wants to see a movie about the Joker. How fucking cool is that she wants to see a comic book movie and I don't?
But she's not seeing a comic book movie about the Joker. She's seeing a comic book movie called Joker.
Right, but that's what I'm saying, is that she's interested in a comic book movie, which is itself a hard sell.
No, and that's cool, and I will give them credit for that, right? But it
just reinforces my idea that things don't have to be made for me.
No, and that's fine, but you still have to be true to a character, right? And Joaquin Phoenix is an amazing actor. I have, with the exception of that stupid Her movie, I have never seen a movie that he was in that I didn't like. I loved him as the evil dude in Gladiator. I loved him as the porn shop owner in 8mm. Like, he is a good actor who is very versatile.
Let us not forget To Die For.
Yeah, and I loved him as Johnny Cash.
Clay pigeons.
But the thing is that, and I don't even necessarily think he would be a bad Joker if given a true Joker role. My issue with that is that the Joker was not a simple-minded idiot who was also a loser who was bullied, and being bullied caused him to become the crown prince of crime. That's not the Joker. That is, I have zero doubts that movie will be a good movie. I think it'll be a good movie. I think it'll be well written. I think it'll be well directed. I think it'll be well acted. I do not think it'll be a good Joker movie.
And that's the thing, though, is that the responsibility of the people who made that movie is to make a movie that people want to see. And I would feel a responsibility to the character. I would feel a responsibility to the idea of what the Joker is, but that's because I'm beholden to things in comics I've read for 40-something years.
Like, as much shit as he got, Jared Leto's Joker is closer to Joker than what I've seen in the Joaquin Phoenix trailer.
Sure.
And because I loved
look at the reception
Joker.
of a real Joker.
No, I know. And it's funny because Joker was a gangster, so they make him a gangster, and everyone's like, "Oh, he's a gangster." But like,
I feel your pain. I understand.
I don't know.
But that's the judgment that people are making these days. It's not about creativity. It's about financials, and that's fine. But I feel like the creativity is what gets people to come back. if you can sell a movie and it does well and everything, no one can argue that, Batman v Superman didn't make a lot of money, but the getting the people to come back came less and less. The Transformers movies, somehow very financially successful. Creatively, people really didn't like them up until Bumblebee gets a lot of attention because they feel it's more true to the Transformers that we grew up with. Be that as it may, they kept getting made because financially they were working. Yep. I would rather invest in story. I would rather invest in art. But I'm not the only one spending money.
Right.
So that's why I look at somebody like JF who is sitting there and creating art, and I want to invest in his art more than I want to invest in somebody else make something that looks cool.
There is a place.
Is it not disconcerting that we're here talking like Corey just said? We're not the only ones, but so many people buy into what they give us.
Well, no, because I don't think there's not a problem with that either, right? Because you and I have that conflict in our not so much conflict, but I am, and we've had this conversation before. I'm very mainstream, and you're very not, right? So I am going to be, and I am a fanboy of many things. So, like, I'm going to consume things. It's what I do. I'm going to like something because there's a name on it, or what have you. I'm going to try and find reasons to like it. I'm going to justify it. I'm going to defend it. And that's part of my fandom. But I don't just randomly pick things and go, I'm going to fight for that today. Like, my fandom is there for a reason. But I can also be very stubborn, and I have a hard time breaking away from that. But I try and find the fun in things that other people refuse to find. Like, a good example of that, I think, would be the most recent Ghostbusters movie, which was critically panned and people hated it, and it didn't make a lot of money. But you and I saw that, and I found that to be quite enjoyable. I thought McKinnon was amazing in it, and she was incredibly funny. So I thought that Chris, which was the Chris that was in it?
Hemsworth.
Yeah, I thought his character was great. He lit up the screen. He was so much fun, and I didn't think it was bad. And I got shit on so hard for liking that movie, and I got told that I'm what's wrong with moviegoers these days. And like, why? Because I liked a movie? Get fucked. Like, and it's no different than tying it back to gaming, right? With being a supporter of EA and like saying, yeah, there's nothing wrong with loot boxes. Like, sure, make them a thing. Like, I have no problem with loot boxes. And like, you're what's wrong with gaming. Fuck you. Like, play what you want, and we can all back to tying it back. Brandon, I think, stepped away from the headset a little bit, but with what you were saying, Corey, with like, we need to stop this whole like you're not a real fan or you're not a real this if that. Like, there's room for all of us.
World of outrage we live in with the outrage internet machine. It's just
the internet machine is that everybody got a voice, and whoever screams the loudest and the most is going to get the attention. And unfortunately, a lot of sites want to promote attention, be it for good or bad,
right?
Just so they can keep getting clicks, as opposed to saying, hey, maybe this person isn't worth our time and energy to pay attention to.
Not only did everybody get a voice, they got a voice with no ownership. Everybody can go on the internet and facelessly, without consequence for the most part, just tear everything apart.
But it's also tough when you dislike something that's overly popular. Like, it's not a matter of hating something that is popular, but also disliking something that is popular. Like, I encountered that recently.
But the key, I think, is to, like, outside of this particular piece that we're doing, I don't really promote my opinions for good or ill. I like what I like and not like what I don't like. And it's
well, neither do I. I'm a very quiet person.
Huh? I mean, it's it's no skin off my ass one way or the other what people think on the fucking internet. It's not even real life. I don't care. I'm still gonna like what I like. I'm always gonna like the Dark Tower. Whatever, that's my thing.
That movie was excellent.
Oh God, I tried to watch. last week.
We have to stop this show.
No,
right
no,
now.
I did. I haven't seen it. I did that on purpose. But no, it's I don't know. It's tough. It's hard to. It's hard, right? Like let people like things, let people dislike things, whether it's Star Wars or.
I just want to come at this. I want to say something about the opinion stuff and everything. You guys know that I've managed or worked at several different comic stores. I've worked at 3. I've managed at least 1, and in some ways managed a couple others. And one of the things that happens is that people come in and they want to talk about the comics that they're buying. They want to talk about the characters. They want to talk about what's going on. Sometimes they'll talk to you about way bigger stuff than it's anything to do with comics, and you're stuck there for 4 hours behind a counter. Amy's probably experienced this because she works in a game shop, but I'm sure it's very similar.
I usually refrain from that because my experience is the guy behind the comic stand knows more than me, and then I feel stupid.
Well, and that's the thing, is that as the guy who's working behind the comic stand, I do not want to make my customers feel stupid. I also don't want to tell my customers that their opinions are wrong. I will have a lively debate with somebody if they're interested in having a debate, and if they're capable. Some customers are not capable of having a debate. They just want to rant, and that's okay. But I will have great conversations with people in comic shops whose tastes are very different than mine. But we're 2 people having a conversation. And what the internet misses is that it's that back and forth between 2 people who will have a mutual respect for each other, or know that if one of them pulls out a gun, the other one is right there.
It's a quick attack.
Like, I love podcasting because I get to talk with people that I wouldn't normally get to see and have what I think are fun and interesting conversations. And if other people want to listen to it, that's great. But we respect each other even when we disagree. Nate and I have very different tastes on a lot of things, but I respect that Nate loves the stuff that he loves.
That's true with everybody and Nate.
Yeah, and people think, oh, well, he's just trolling because he likes the stuff that everybody hates. No, I think Nate genuinely likes this stuff, and I love that he does, because it makes me take a second look at it. And even if I still walk out of it going, you know what, fuck Nickelback, I'm allowed to say that. But he's allowed to say that he doesn't dislike them and that he thinks that they're great. And he's not the only friend I have who listens to them and likes them.
Hey, Corey, I never made it as a wise man.
Oh my God. I appreciate Corey's ability to light a candle in the darkness that is Nate, and always let everyone.
I appreciate having a candle lit in my darkness.
Yeah, I knew you were gonna. Yeah.
No, but like it's just I don't know, man. It's tough. I came under attack recently because of Borderlands, right? Like Borderlands 3 got announced. And everyone's like, "Ooh, Borderlands 3," and I'm like, I don't care. And like, you can't say that apparently without getting fucking trolled on by. Or if you say that, you are a troll, right?
But you are the troll.
But I'm not always. So am I like? See, I'm like the boy who cried wolf, right? Like I troll everything. So when I give a legit opinion,
Facebook and happen to see Nate's posts on Nate's comments on every post.
Hey, I'm gonna pause you. I'm gonna pause you.
I'm the only one.
I'm gonna pause you for a second, and that I have been explicitly told by people that I am fun to follow on Facebook.
Yeah,
for that reason.
Me. I'm the one that says that.
No, David Ginsburg from Tales from a
What did I do
said
in your house
I am
earlier today.
I don't remember.
When you said, "Oh, I'm gonna go be sweet Nate and not bitter Nate," I said, "No, don't do that, because that's a lot of my entertainment value in my day, right there."
Are we talking about
shit that you say?
Are we talking about the Nate who asked me to tithe to an anti-religion corporation?
Wait, what?
A mutual friend of ours. I'm not going to call them out. Because they're not here to say one way or the other about their feelings and get their own explanation of it. So James Gunn recently got rehired by Disney to do Guardians 3, which I think many people feel very good about, because the situation was not whether or not he was a good director or a bad director. It was something that he said on the internet years ago that was taken out of context, and him being fired seemed very unfair. But this person did post and say, I don't understand why everybody's so excited about this. Guardians 2 kind of sucked. And I get that. But it was so not the popular opinion of the post at that moment And at the same time, I also know this person is not a troll, was not doing it just to be like contrary, but was giving an opinion of like, yeah, but I kind of was feeling like maybe Guardians 3 is better off with a different director and storyteller in charge. And that's, again, perfectly valid. But the reaction, not in this case, because the people that I'm friends with on my wall are not usually total dicks, Nate. But the reaction was like, oh, that seems not like how we feel. It could have been way worse. Could have been just like pile on the guy. He's an asshole. You know, why would you say that? You know, James Gunn is God. And in a lot of other places, that probably would have been the feeling or said. And then you would have had the team's part of like, no, James Gunn is awful and James Gunn is great and James Gunn is a pedophile because we say that now, we believe it. And what the fuck are you talking about? All these things could have poured out of it. And that's a scary, horrible place. Just don't go to those places. Delete Twitter. That's what I'm saying.
No, Twitter's a great tool if you follow the right people.
No, Twitter's a tool. And it's for tools. And that's no. No, I have not been able to make Twitter valuable to me. But there are people that I love to and want to like interact with and follow and stuff that are on Twitter, and it's the only place I can be to see them. Right. And so in that regard, it gives me that chance to sometimes interact or just see how their day's going. You know, like
I think
hey,
Twitter is great because that is the one medium that really gives you a direct line to whoever you're following. Yeah, right. You have Facebook, yeah, you have Instagram, but you don't really. I just feel like Twitter is the more immediate route to see a window into that person's life.
But I also think
I don't ever use Twitter outside of like, I don't know,
like all social media.
Shows. Yeah,
you barely use it.
But I think that
true.
Twitter can also be blamed, maybe not completely, but in a sizable way towards our outrage culture, because it opens that communication. But not only that, but because it limits our characters.
Well, it's also the reposting without reading, the reposting without thinking. Yeah, that is where Twitter breaks down. That's where Facebook breaks down for me. I spent 90% of my time on Facebook blocking meme pages. Because I just don't want to see the same thing get reposted, especially people I know that's all they do on Facebook. They're allowed. It's their Facebook page to do it on. But right. I would rather see them talk about their lives or something.
I know for a fact I've been unfollowed by people who don't have a problem with me, but because of my social media tendencies, have unfollowed me on certain social media things just because like they're tired of it.
Yeah, but imagine if you got up every day and your day was you get up, you walk out of your house, you go across town to an auditorium, and that auditorium is full of like 1,000 people. Let's just say 1,000 people. And you don't get to just sit next to a person and have a conversation. You have every conversation in that auditorium in your full audio hearing level at all times. And so you cannot shut it out. You cannot do away with it. You can't just think about and have a concentration back and forth with one person about one thing at a time and then walk over across the room and talk to somebody else. It's like constant barrage of shit. We would kill ourselves within 10 minutes.
That's fair.
It's like every movie or story about somebody who develops telepathy and they pick up too many thoughts at once. Their first reaction is, I've got the migraine that's stabbing me up the asshole and it's never going to leave until I learn to control it. And what Twitter needs is that control. And that's something that we have to take on ourselves. But they did not do a great job of making that available to us. And every time a tool comes around, it's like, hey, here's this way to use Twitter that's better. Twitter's like, yeah, we're not going to let you have access to our stuff anymore. We think it's better if you just watch us how we curate it. It's like,
right.
Shit.
Yeah, no, that's certainly a problem. Well, not that I'm not enjoying this conversation, but we're up over 2 hours.
You're tired because I am super tired.
Yeah, no, we're up over 2 hours. And not that it's a problem, but we kind of broke from Star Wars a little bit. But yeah, no, I do want to say I am excited to be back. This is going to be a weekly thing again. So it'll be Saturday nights, 9:00. There will be revolving doors of guests. There will be special guests, and that's gonna kind of how we're gonna kind of format it from this point forward. Like, Old school Mind of a Geek was a constant barrage of emails. It was get a guest on every week. And now it's going to kind of be, like tonight, Corey, he's an old friend. He's a host on the network. Once we get that show back up and running.
You can just say he was available.
It's amazing to say old friend with someone you've never met. You have to love the internet.
Well, right, and that's a positive swing to it, but not to start a whole other conversation. But no, he's Corey is somebody who I really enjoy having conversation with.
Like you don't even know what Corey smells like, right?
Right now, orange and vanilla.
That's amazing.
That's my
vanilla, like the folder.
No, vanilla.
Oh, I think you said Manila. I'm like, were you filing all day? So anyway, but yeah, so that's going to be kind of the format of the show. It'll be a revolving door of podcasters and friends that we know, and then special guests when they come on. But it'll be about, whatever's going on that week. So similar, but different, but still kind of
I
the
do
same.
like the idea, and I know that I wasn't necessarily the number one choice for a Star Wars discussion.
You were the first person I messaged.
Well, I know, but I mean,
one choice.
I don't know that I should be the number one choice for a Star Wars discussion because I know that people who are way more into Star Wars. But I do like the idea of when you have something like this, having the ability to pick through the group of people that you know and can bring onto the show, and having somebody who gets to talk about that stuff with you. As a listener, as a fan of Geek Studios for a long time, that is the kind of thing that I look forward to. Or even getting like the non-super fan choice to come in and say, well, as a layman, this is the way that I see it. I think that that's cool too. But you always bring quality people on.
Well, thank you.
I think we should be like the Woolworths of podcasting.
The Woolworth? Like the store?
Yeah.
So we're like the Marshalls?
No, Woolworths, not Marshalls. I want to be able to sell waffles and rats.
Yep.
Oh.
So I bought hamsters at Woolworths.
So Martin's.
Is that a Marmot you have on sale? What is that? That's just neat.
It's like that store up north where you can buy guns, beer, and wedding dresses.
Hussies, yeah. That's true.
So we will do the quick rundown like we usually do. Corey, I know everything's kind of on a hiatus right now, but is there anything that people should be looking out for or looking to you for?
No, I'm in a great position to be able to talk about things that other people I admire are doing. So
sure.
It just finished up, but anybody who hasn't listened to it should go back and listen to this season of America's Next Top Podcaster. And it was a nice thing for me to hear someone that I have always admired for their talents be treated with the respect that I thought that they deserve, and in the end earn out. And I don't want to spoil anything, but they did really well in the contest.
Yeah, I don't want to spoil it in case anyone hasn't heard, but I have a great respect for Brian Ibbett and Justin Robert Young and Scott. So if you have never listened to it, then go listen to it. I agree, and obviously I can't be more than happy with the victor. But yeah, I mean, obviously, if you know me personally, then that kind of spoils it. But outside of that, go listen to it. It was exciting to see people kind of maybe step out of their comfort zones and try things new.
And as a person who creates podcasts, it was fun to listen to other people create podcasts and come up with so many new ideas on my own of like, hey, that's a really cool way to look at that. That's a really creative thing to do. And what kind of show would I make if I had been in the contest at that point in time?
Right. Well, I had that conversation, right? Because I signed up to be on that, and I obviously didn't get accepted, which is fine. But I am me, like, and I was told this the other day, and I think it was meant as an insult, but I took it as a compliment. And I was told that I am the Nicolas Cage of podcasting. And what they meant by that was no matter what show I am on, I am me. I don't know I don't form fit myself into a show. Like, I don't change my loudness. I don't change my language. I am me. You know what you're fucking getting. So, like, it would be hard for me to change and adapt to different show types, having to do a different show every week, because eventually they'd get sick of me because, oh, Nate brings the same thing to the table every week.
Well, I thought that was, again, something that I found that I really admired about the contestants was that the challenges were often very, very challenging and required a lot of extra work and thought process and creativity and drive and all the things that I don't really have when I do a podcast.
Right.
I have a Matt Stein or a Beatmaster that keep me in line.
Right. And that's, we
you,
all...
You have a Matt Stein that keeps you in line? Wow. That's a fucking thin line.
That's another phrase for calling it doing a train on me. But sure.
Yeah, okay. That makes sense.
So go check out America's Next Top Podcaster and support one of our friends. And then I'll do the shout out for GNcast because that's still a thing, whether you're actively doing shows on it or not. That's something that you are affiliated with.
I am affiliated with it, and I love those guys. It is a terrific network full of fantastic people who are unfortunately not putting out as many shows these days, but the ones they are still great, and hopefully I'll get back to it with them soon.
Cool. Well, thank you again. I thanked you at the top and a couple times throughout the show, but thanks again for coming on, especially at such short notice. It is always a pleasure to chat with you and to have your insight. You always bring a more
eloquent rant.
Yeah, you always come from a more
refined,
intellectual angle at things. Like I always tend to like loudly attack things.
Smarter than us, and we're
you
just
are
foolish.
you are
just here for you to sound off of.
But no, I like the dynamic of having you on our show because I can outrage. Brandon can Brandon.
What does that even mean?
I don't know, but I don't mean it as an insult.
Why am I even here?
But no, I don't mean it as an insult.
Because you're perfect.
You are. It's like the three of, and that's why I'm excited to get STFU back up off the ground. If that's something that everyone still wants to do, because I think that the three of us have a very strong dynamic.
I absolutely want to do more STFU. And it is still my dream show. So,
and that's something that we will certainly talk about. But back to the you being the first person to invite. Your passion or love of Star Wars was irrelevant at that point. It was the dynamic that I feel the three of us have together. So if we are
your passion or love for Star Wars, the relevant part was our passion and love for you.
Right, exactly. But no, and it was like if we're gonna get the shows back up off the ground and we're gonna get this going, then it only kind of feels right to have you here with us to kind of relaunch all that.
Well, it is always my pleasure. And
have we stroked you enough?
I would have been listening anyways. So
right. See, you were gonna be here anyway.
Yeah. So while you're here, fucking A.
But no, and a big shout out to everyone in the chat room that stopped by, that was there in our absence. So yeah, no, you guys rock. Thank you for chatting. Thank you for participating. So no dates, no days, no times for anything else yet. That will all still be talked about. But you can follow this podcast on the platform that Corey hates so much of Twitter, at Mind of a Geek Pod, or search Mind of a Geek on Facebook. Or you can follow the studio. It's iGeek Studios on Twitter, or just Inked Geek Studios on Facebook. All posts and updates will be there for any other of the plans. I know Amy and I really want to get Indie Case Files off the ground too, but with everything else that's going on, got to kind of see where things fit into the schedules. But yeah, so yeah, thanks. InkedGeekStudios.com will eventually be updated too, so check that out. But I think that's going to do it. It's been fun.
So for Nate, for Brandon, and for myself,
I'm tired.
Thank you for joining us. We appreciate it.
I should just have you record that so I can play it. Yeah, no, I love that you remembered that.
And
I'm
God,
like,
here he goes again.
No, I love that you remembered that. And I'm like, fuck, how did I end these? How did I forget that? For Corey, for Brandon, for myself, and for the rest of Inked Geek Studios, thank you all very much for listening. And we will see you guys next week.
You've been listening to an Inked Geek Studios podcast. For this and other great shows, go to inkedgeekstudios.com.
And scene.
Really weird to do a whole show and not actually be in the same room as you, especially to not hear the outro and shit.
You didn't hear it?
I heard it, but I heard it in that garbled internet way, not the crisp, clean, I'm in the room with you way.
Right. Ugh.
Great, and with that, I'm going to go back to the bathroom where I disappeared to before and finish taking that shit.
Yeah, I'll make it to bed. I got work in the morning.
Yep. Always a good time, gentlemen.
I'm going to cut the live stream.
Pleasure.
Thank you guys again. Next Saturday night, 9 o'clock Eastern. We will see you guys then.